Hello everybody and welcome back to the KCM. We're here for week number 7, season 2, 2025. Got a sick lineup, so let's jump into game number 1. Here it is, lineup on the screen. Sock, Royal Rush, YSC, Stork, Snow, Action, Jaedong, and of course, Soul Key, the 4-time champion, joining us today, along with Snow and Rush, two of the opponents he had to take on in order to get that recent championship. So they might be looking for a bit of revenge here today, if in a best of 1.
Yeah, definitely possible. We were talking a little bit off air about the statistics here. Protoss squad getting about 22%, Terran only 10%, 68% for the Zerg squad, probably because of Sulky being in that lineup, but also Action playing absolutely out of his mind as of late. So I think that's also a bit of representation of their chances, which is fairly accurate, although it is best of 1, anything can happen. First up on the map though, we've got, yeah, like I say, YSC and Jaedong. Haven't seen these two face off in quite some time. Maybe they'll be evenly matched. I mean, Jaedong's not been playing completely out of his mind as of late. I imagine he's slowing down his practice a little bit in between the ASL seasons and won't be going so hard.
Really did feel like he ramped up a lot this season, but just didn't get the results that he was hoping for. I wonder if he'll come back again next season with the same vigor as this first season in 2025. I'd love to see it. I'd love to see him come back again and just bring that sort of hunger that we saw this season and even do better in the next one.
No, yeah, I would love to see it as well. Saying a little bit of an early probe scout here. Gonna be making nothing too crazy, just like a 12.5 forge timing. Just hedging his bets in case Jaedong were to pull lava and make a big round of Zerglings. It is forced cross position with Eclipse, so it takes a little bit longer for these Zerglings to get here. So seems like YSC wants to play really safe against this. The curious thing will be he should be throwing down his Nexus before the cannon though. I think he will be doing that to try and optimize his build and utilize the scouting probe just to slow down that potential 6-ling move out.
So Jaedong was hiding just outside of range of this probe, and as soon as YSC came back into the main to check on the larva, Jaedong was able to get that natural down. So usually YSC would be able to block long enough to force the base to be taken over at the 3rd, but Jaedong did a bit of a mind game there, manages to get that hatchery in place in the proper location, the one that he wants to take, and so a little bit of a win there for Jaedong. Scouting everything here though, YSC will get away with this Nexus right after Forge.
Yeah, and a natural 3rd base location being taken here from Jaedong as well. This is nothing too crazy at all. This is pretty orthodox. Zerg versus Protoss. He's electing to get a fairly early gas, most likely to get that ling speed online, deny scouting information, and either actually go for a 973 or make it or hide the fact that he could be going for 973 and going straight into lair. This is around about the time he would be throwing down that den if he was going for it, but with how early he took this gas, I'm guessing it's going to be a lair into speed probably.
That looks like the methodology he's working with in this ZVP, operating on a higher tier of tech. Getting that early lair will allow him to be a little bit more liberal with his overlords scouting out around the map and not losing those early. In fact, he's kept a lot of the overlords back. Only one over here towards the natural. Looks like it's going to go all the way into the main. And so he'll probably end up losing that one, but YSC should see that and pretty much discount the possibility of a Hydralisk bust. Just because of the Overlord positioning here, it's not going to work out if he tries to pull the trigger on that and doesn't have an Overlord in a position to block a DT.
Yeah, I mean, this is a fairly crisply timed Stargate here from YSC. I think as long as he can find this first Overlord, he should definitely kill at least one Overlord before going on a scouting path. Relative to the Spire timing, he can definitely achieve that. It's a matter of whether or not he goes for that or not. Jaedong's trying to tuck this Overlord towards the third base of YSC and make it a little bit harder to find. And if he does pull the trigger on that, he might not get enough time to scout afterwards because the Scourge will be on their way about the time that the Corsair starts to run into the main base after finding an Overlord, depending on how long it takes for him to find it.
Yeah, I thought he was going to send that directly into the main to get some scouting information, but Jaedong here just kind of hanging out at the periphery of the base and hiding his Overlord quite well. Very unlikely that YSC will check up there. He's going to go along the Hydralisk attack path, get over down towards this natural. Doesn't really see anything aside from a few lings running around, and he's going to see these extra hatcheries coming up and know pretty well what's going on. Second gas has been spotted as well. There is a possibility that we could even see a third gas thrown down and Jaedong go for more of an air-based play, but it's not necessarily what's happening here. He's got 5 hatcheries and a second gas. Everything is lining up for a potential Hydralisk build as a follow-up.
Yeah, he's found an Overlord at the third base. I'm not sure. He might just barely kill this Overlord. He's got the second Overlord that's trying to find where this other one is, and actually looks like he will find it. So if he picks up the Overlord kill and finds this one. So even though the Scourge are just now popping, he has to be careful though not to lose that Corsair. Scourge on interception course has one connection already. He kind of took a gamble by killing Jaedong's Overlord at the third base because it does mean there's a chance of getting the Corsair sniped, but it does guarantee scouting as well as supply blocking Jaedong, and killing the second Overlord kind of compounds that effect, and Jaedong can be playing catch up a little bit here, trying to optimize his lava as best as he can. Tries to get the intercept course, doesn't quite find, he does get it! That's a pretty big pickup for Jaedong. Now, if he wanted to, he can go into a third gas and potentially a Mutalisk, Scourge, Ogre Zerg gamer mode and really put the pressure onto YSC.
He actually threw down the third gas before he ever got the connection on that Corsair, so confident that he was going to be able to take that out. Already has that third gas down, and he's going to make a ton of Mutalisks here. We could see a big explosion of Scourge as well, and diving into the main base, YSC does not have a cannon there just yet. It's on the way now, but he may just die straight up to an Ogre Zerg gamer play from Jaedong. One sunken colony back at home in the third, I believe. Nope. One sunken here in the natural as well, just under that Overlord. So bare minimum amount of defense here. Will Jaedong pull the trigger on diving in?
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to wait and see. I think he might. He might have to wait for about 10 or so Mutalisks and 6 to 12 Scourge, and then maybe go into the main. The natural's actually a little bit exposed. With good execution, you can kind of like keep screening the Corsairs with the Scourge and taking a few pot shots at some of these probes. Jaedong might see if he can pull something off like that, even though he's not got 10 Mutalisks yet, and try and do a little bit of economic damage to YSC. Depends on how confident he is. Someone like Killer would definitely pull the trigger on going for that right away. Most Zergs, though, they tend to shy away. It's extremely execution orientated, and if you make one tiny mistake, suddenly the Protoss will pounce on that opportunity and really punish you. Jaedong's playing a little bit more cautiously as a result, just using these Mutalisks mainly as like a cleanup force, deterring any Zealot hit squads from coming in here, and we'll go for a bit more of a delayed assault into the main base. Still, though, only 5 Mutalisks. I actually thought he was going to commit to this a lot more than he has. Seems like he's just kind of threatening the idea. Go on.
Well, with that okay, there we go. I mean, couldn't imagine him going just fully into lurkers here. He spent all of his gas. It's a huge round of mutas. And he is going to go for potentially this main base. He's actually rotating around the right-hand side. That's a lot of Scourge coming out as well. Yeah, he was just going to have an insane glut of gas here if he didn't go for a play like this. Now, coming forward, he's going to get a big hit onto a couple of these Corsairs. Some nice connections there. Still a lot of Scourge left over. Going into the main base, there are some Templar, but they don't have enough energy for them. One does. One storm goes down. Preemptive storm there, but flies straight on through it. Scourge going to come up here. Ooh, great storm there, actually hitting a lot of these Scourge, and he will be able to drive this back, at least for now.
There's 9 Mutalisks still alive with pretty fresh HP, though, and only one singular cannon in that main base. Taking a few shots at these Corsairs does eliminate one of them. Now only 3 total Corsairs with that next one popping out, and he's already done enough damage to the third one to keep this threat alive. YSC's got to really respect this. Maybe throw down additional cannons in main base. Maybe even think about an Archon morph just to be safe. Who's super safe? Jaedong rotating background into the main base. Takes out a Dragoon. Looking for any opportunities right now. Just any High Templars or Dragoons popping out of these gateways will be attempted to be dealt with by Jaedong for this tiny little window that he's got, while YSC tries to re-establish Corsair fleet here. But this is already paying off for Jaedong indirectly. Like, every gas that's going into additional Corsairs, there's just less Dragoons and Templars that YSC can produce. So Jaedong's going to happily pump a crazy amount of Hydras behind this, and then you can go for a Templar snipe with these Mutalisks and leverage the Hydras against the lack of splash damage ground force of the Protoss, and really start to explode in this game while taking a fourth.
That fourth base is going to be set down at bottom right. At the same time, getting rid of this Zealot at center left, and continuing to shark around here in the middle of the map, looking for potential opportunities, maybe to shut down some Templar as the move out occurs. YSC, will he look to just grab his own third base, or is he going to initiate one massive 2-base attack and just bet his hopes in this game on that? I think it might be a bit of an ill-conceived notion. He's lost a few Templar here early, and his overall storm count is quite low. The number of Hydras that can be brought forward here from Jaedong is going to be a lot, and he's going to dive right in with these Mutas, picks off another Templar. There's only one Templar left. He's just going to storm right on top of himself. All the Mutas will die, but every Templar is now gone.
Yeah, Jaedong, he has technically lost his Mutalisk flock, but I mean, there's not much splash damage available for YSC, so the counter-attack of YSC should fall flat on its face. The main question is, can he get away with this third base? He's got a DT on the ramp, trying to buy some time. If he could have sniped that probe, it would have been great, because it would have slowed down the cannons being walked in on that high ground. So a little bit of a win there for YSC. He can start producing some cannons there and see if he can hold the line with a predominantly Zealot-based army here on the ground, trying to meet the Hydras in transition up to this point. But that's a lot of Hydras coming up. He's going to get like 2 storms available to him, and with some good storm dodging, that's going to be problematic. Some good target firing down onto those Dragoons that are trying to get up there as well. One pretty good storm, but that's a lot of Hydras, and he does storm dodge well on that second storm. Now Jaedong might have reached enough critical mass to fight this back. There are some Dragoons trying to help hold the line. A lot of Zealots and Dark Templars trying to get in here. He's trying to screen the Overlords from detecting the Dark Templars. Actually, YSC has a chance of holding this with how active he was being. With those Corsairs, the Dark Templars Warp Blades doing a lot of heavy lifting.
Wow, 3 Dark Templar is kind of a crazy amount. This is looking like a bit of a mini game here. With this many Dark Templars mixed in, it's working out pretty well for YSC, but he still has to defend back at home. That third base is a bit vulnerable. He does maneuver his army to keep that alive and keeps this game going for a little bit longer. Jaedong gonna have to transfer some drones over to bottom right and potentially start to set up lurker lines out on the map. It's a bit of a tough map to just defend straight up with lurkers, so I understand a lot of Zerg players who want to just play layer style against Protoss here.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of seems like YSC's done the main job of actually securing this third base, so we are going to have a game on our hands. Jaedong is still favorited, currently speaking. He's trying to get this 5th online, although YSC has a lot of room to maneuver now after defending that initial attack. With this third base coming online, we'll be able to go through to the next phase of the game. The problem is can he actually put on the pressure necessary to slow Jaedong down? He's trying to replenish his Corsair fleet fleet currently, he's really strapped for gas. Like, building this many Corsairs all game long means he won't have that crazy of a Dragoon count. And typically speaking, you want to have like, yeah, 1.5, 2 control groups of Dragoons to leverage against the Zerg and start to fight against the Hydras and skirmish by, you know, utilizing storms and what have you. But as it stands, the army of YSC kind of lacking a little bit due to how many Corsairs he's producing.
I think it's fine if YSC just sits back here, but this is some pretty good Templar storms, actually preemptively throwing those down, but 2 Templar go down really, really quickly. I was gonna say it's pretty okay for YSC to just sit back here and tempt the Zerg army to come in and fight him. As long as he gets a 4th base up, eventually he will outscale this mostly layer base, or this completely layer based play. There's no hive transition on the way. He is getting into armor upgrades as well, but we're gonna have +2 and then eventually +3, and there's not gonna be, oh gosh, a nice snipe there. There's not gonna be any like later game tech here from Jaedong. There's not going to be any plagues coming out here. It's just going to be straight up Hydras fighting, and eventually you're going to get into +3 as the Protoss player. You're going to have a lot more storms, and it'll be so much harder for these mutas to actually start to snipe all of these High Templars down.
I mean, with how much gas he's putting into Corsairs, he's actually not researching anything on that forge right now. It's just 2 armor, 1 weapons versus the 1-1 of Jaedong with 2-2 on the way. So the longer this goes on, it actually might work out better for Jaedong, depending on how well he can trade. It very much comes down to control and micro right now. Jaedong kind of trying to deal with things on 2 fronts, is limiting how many High Templars are available to YSC with these snipes, but it looks like YSC has a timing to maybe kill this 5th base of Jaedong. It's going to be a little bit difficult for Jaedong to get in here and actually deal with this. There's a counter-attacking force that was thinking about going to the 3rd base, thinks better of it. There's too many cannons there to do anything. Needs to instead wrap around to the center lane and get up over here, but it's going to be too slow. He's going to sandwich some of these reinforcements from YSC, but he's not going to save that 5th base critically.
Well, the Hydras are able to get on top of some of these Dragoons, but a great storm helps them out. No Overlord at that rally point, so the DTs are doing a lot of damage, plus a little counterattack going in over at this bottom right base is starting to pull Jaedong limb from limb. He has to keep one of these bases alive. He's already lost the center left. He has to keep this base down in bottom right alive, and he's losing a lot of drones over there. A High Templar on the ramp, the storm on the ramp. Beautiful storm so there.
Good. Wow. I mean, YSC's kind of playing out of his mind a little bit here, but Jaedong should be able to save this base. He's not technically out of it yet. YSC trying to kind of have his cake and eating it by getting this 4th base set up down here as well, so we can keep his attention on knocking out this base and try and defend while attacking. Jaedong, though, quick to respond. He'll be getting in there and trying to take out this base before it can get established. Army's already in hot pursuit, but it might not be quick enough in time. He could just morph lurkers on the ramp as well to make it impossible for the Zealots to get up there. So he should be able to hold the line on both of these locations. The question is how much storm is available to YSC to bust up into these bases, because he definitely could.
He absolutely has to flank this, and right away he cannot be sitting here on the high ground or let the Protoss army get up here onto the high ground. He is going to hit this from the back as he comes up towards this ramp. Very nice play from Jaedong, keeping this at bay. If he gets up onto that high ground, it is just about lights out for Jaedong. He has to get over here and shut this down. Nicely done, sniping another Templar. 2 more get up here onto the high ground, but there are a bunch of mutas at the rally point that can come down here and start to pick these off. Can Jaedong hold this last base? He's got to keep it alive, but he's losing drones now.
It's kind of crazy because Jaedong's actually ahead in supply, but positionally it looks okay for YSC. The only thing going for Jaedong is the fact that there's no 4th base for YSC, so he can put him on a clock by taking his base in the top left and saving this base. He's just barely saving this base. It's so close to dying. 26 HP when all said and done. He was morphing an Archon there to try and one-shot that down as it finished warping in. Didn't quite get it though. Now YSC kind of relegated, taking his natural 4 up at the 11 o'clock block position does give him hopes of squashing some of these bases that are starting to sprout out from Jaedong. Jaedong's trying to double expand into the top left quadrant of the map. Jaedong needs to keep the pressure on the rally point area of YSC, not allow him to consolidate his attention into defending that fourth as well as counterattacking some of these two bases up here. Seems like Jaedong wants to just force a fight at the fourth, though. It's not the worst decision in the world. He has got a lot of Mutalisks here to snipe these High Templars. If he can kill these High Templars, it's going to be huge. One preemptive storm, not so good. The second one does a lot more heavy lifting, but he is still going to snipe these High Templars, it looks like. And there's not much storm now available for YSC to hold the line against these Hydras. He will take out this fourth base. He does get that base sniped in the top left, but he's got another base coming online. He saved this base critically in the bottom right. If somehow YSC had sent a little counter-attack hit squad to snipe that hatchery in the bottom left, this would be okay for YSC, but as it stands, this is certainly not okay.
Yeah, he's starting to lose this army. There's a big surround coming in here. Hydras from the south, Hydras from the side here. Yeah, he's definitely going to surround and kill this entire army. YSC, no counterattack making its way to bottom right, and no fourth base online here means he'll probably be tapping out soon. It was a valiant effort, but Jaedong eventually overwhelming him. It was just a hair's breadth away from a victory, though. YSC leaving that hatchery on like 20 HP. It's absolutely crazy, and he's going to try and come down here one last time, break that hatchery, but more bases are coming up for Jaedong on this left-hand side. He is going to start to take over this map.
He's been stuck on 2-1 upgrades for a long time, has YSC, and I have to imagine there's even 2-2 finished up recently on this Hydralisk force. That's a nice Maelstrom on the Mutalisk force, but it might not be enough here. YSC so critically low on supply. Jaedong already in position to try and defend against this force. We haven't seen Lurker tech yet, so maybe he can't morph in Lurkers on the ramp to block, so he's going to rely predominantly on storm dodging to try and overwhelm this army, but there's not that many Dragoons to fight the Hydras, so as long as he dodges the storm in and out enough, there's not really any opportunity here for YSC to get up that ramp and kill that base critically. Jaedong now has his fifth base established, so I mean, this is not looking good for YSC. The writing's on the wall for him. He's doing some desperation storms, but the preemptive storm dodging from Jaedong's been pretty good. That's an okay storm, but it's not going to be enough. Look at this just wall of Hydras smashing face right now.
Yeah, the Hydra number is just way too high. YSC will be forced back. His natural and main are completely mined out, and his third is soon to follow. There's really no hope of grabbing this fourth base anymore, and we are going to see a tap out soon with 40 supply in advantage for the Zerg player. It's a little bit hopeless here for YSC. He is still hanging in there. He's still staying alive, but there's really not much he can do at this point as Jaedong brings all of his forces up the map. You can see just exploding outwards as he continues to up that overall income with that fifth base online. Now he's got everything he'll ever need in this game, and YSC here with just a few Dragoons left clinging to a hope.
Well, I mean, this BG's Protoss won't be staying alive for too long, saying eventually the song's got to end, and I think it's going to be over for him. He's almost been mined out on his third base before long. Jaedong just wants to pull the trigger and ram it down right now. Pretty good storm dodging. There is some Dragoons here and a decent amount of High Templars. With good storms, he could technically beat this army, but there's so much Sauron-esque Zerg style just rolling into this rally point location. He's dried up on the storms. His reservoirs have depleted, and suddenly Jaedong in a commanding position going to try and just end the game now while he can. GG is called from YSC, and Jaedong not with the most convincing of victories, but certainly a strong showing here.
All right, here we go. We've got Rush over in the bottom right-hand corner versus Jaedong, who managed to pull off a pretty strong win there versus YSC. Felt like a little dangerous for a moment or two. Eventually was able to take control with that layer style. How is he going to handle Rush, though, who's at the absolute pinnacle of his game right now? Has been dominating in basically every tournament we see him in, and this is his forte. TVZ is where he really shines.
Yeah, I'm curious. I mean, Jaedong used to be so good at Zerg versus Terran. he kind of made the other Zergs look a little bit silly. As you guys know, it's a bit of a triangle of balance in StarCraft. You know, Zerg typically being better than Protoss, Protoss typically being better than Terran, and Terran usually getting the better end of the stick against Zerg. However, Jaedong tended to buck that trend back in the day with his exceedingly good Mutalist micro and timings. It's always like he understood mineral optimizations before these other guys really figured it out. And you know, his Zerglings would always arrive like 2 seconds quicker than you and that kind of thing. But not so much in the modern era. Like a lot of these optimizations and micro adjustments have all been figured out by these guys. Even you guys on the ladder have learned a lot of these optimizations. So you too can shave off seconds off of your build. So it's a lot harder for someone like Jaedong to get one over any of these guys in the current era of StarCraft. Everyone's just so good now, saying in their game knowledge.
Yeah, there's way more access to information now than there ever was in the Kespa era. It was so difficult to get a replay back then to really figure out what these guys were up to and how they were really maximizing their advantages and boosting and that sort of thing. But now you can look up on YouTube and find all kinds of tutorials. As long as you're willing to use the Google Translate function, you can find some amazing high-level StarCraft tips and tricks from these Korean players who stream regularly and communicate with their fans, show them all kinds of replays, and tell them how to better themselves in this game. So it's a completely different world now than it was back then.
I mean, back in the day, you had some very low resolution YouTube videos of televised games, but I mean, it was like looking at bacteria under a microscope with how bad the fidelity was. It was really hard to even tell how many units were on screen because of the codec was just awful, and everything was just a blurry, pixelated mess with artifacts all over the place. So yeah, not the best time to try and learn StarCraft. Now though, we're kind of spoiled for choice, and I'm sure a lot of you guys don't necessarily remember those old days, so maybe take it a little bit for granted. But let me tell you, you guys are spoiled for choice in terms of the resources available to you, and there's no excuses anymore. If you want to learn this game inside and out, this is the best time, the best era ever to try and make that happen.
Looks like Rush, as we get the builds kind of crystallizing here, you will be opening with a +1 with that fast, excuse me, 1 Rex fast expand. A bit of a 2-hatch build out of Jaedong so far, thus far. He may be taking his 3rd base, possibly over in that top left-hand corner. We are on Polestar after all, so quite a large rush distance from bottom right to bottom, or to top left. Jaedong gonna have a lot of time to respond to whatever Rush sends out that direction, and it's not gonna be it's still gonna be a while before Rush is comfortable leaving his base here with this build. So Jaedong gonna have plenty of room to maneuver, and in fact he's spending that time building a lot more drones than a typical 2-hatch Mutalist play.
Yeah, not only that, but these spawns actually kind of favor Jaedong in the sense of it's really difficult for Rush to optimize his turret placements because Jaedong's kind of aligned to the natural just as much as he is to the main. The natural is only a few seconds, and the barracks production line is only a few seconds away. It's not like if Jaedong was in top right and Rush was in bottom right. That'd be a little bit harder for Jaedong to rotate around into the main base in that position. So Rush kind of has to prioritize both his production line and his main base and not be too slow with focusing on his natural. So, I mean, all things considered, this is okay for Jaedong. I imagine we'll see quite a lot of turrets being placed by Rush at all 3 locations, just knowing that it's going to be very easy for Jaedong to keep rotating around in the early game and potentially punishing those open positions. Seems like the solution from Rush here is just to race into a 4-axe play, maybe getting away with a little bit less turrets than usual, but getting a lot of bio forces out, even going to be putting down a bunker to prevent Ling stabs, as well as protecting these 2 depots critically in the natural. But here comes Jaden already trying to exploit some of these turret timings. If he can kill some of these SCVs before they even finish the turrets, it's going to be a big problem. It's kind of what I was talking about. It's really hard to know exactly where the Zerg player is going to come initially, so you kind of have to do all 3 locations simultaneously, and even so, Jaden still found a small window to punish.
Ooh, and he's gotten in here, almost killed this SCV for a 3rd time, preventing that turret from coming up easily. And oh my gosh, Lings are going to run by here into the main base. That bunker completely empty. He gets on top of the turret. Dude, Jaedong might just straight up win right here, right now. The wind is in his favor. He's got the momentum here to just keep killing these SCVs over and over again, and Rush is panicking, trying to get turrets up everywhere. He's losing his medics. Every medic here being targeted down. Now can go after these SCVs and keep these Marines at bay.
I mean, I'm surprised that Rush didn't get that turret slightly faster on his barracks. He did get the turrets at his natural and his main base pretty crisply timed, but the turrets on his production line, the most important feature in his entire infrastructure, a little bit exposed, and now we'll have to start leapfrogging some turrets around his base to reestablish zone control. Jaedong still has more and more room to exploit this. Going to be trying to snipe the Marines as they're popping out of the barracks until Rush can produce enough turrets in position to hold that. And Jaedong still racking up the bio kills. This is the Jaedong we've come to love many years ago. This is why he was so strong in this matchup. He wasn't the guy that discovered Mutalist Micro. That was Shark, popularized by July Zerg. Jaedong, though, was the guy a little bit after that era that really made these Terrans hurt with his use of that Mutalist Micro. It's almost like he just specialized in it to the point where he was a genius. He could even control 2 groups of Mutalisks simultaneously at the height of his career. Just absolute insanity what this guy can do with Mutas when he's playing his A game.
Well, this is in large part due to the lateness of those turrets. Most Terran players at this point in Broodwar history are absolutely capable of getting those on time, and I think Rush was doing a little bit too much of that fine line, walking that line just a little bit too close here this game. You could see that Jaedong was being much more cautious, even built a sunken colony just in case there was a 5-minute push. Didn't quite understand what the build was going to be, but made sure that he had the defenses up well in time in case of an early bust. And Rush didn't give him the same respect. He added these turrets very late, and he ran out with his Marines there initially, rather than having them sitting at the high ground waiting for the Mutas to come in and just guaranteeing those turrets could come up. And now he's really paid the price for it. He's not out of this game yet, but he is limping right now. He's having a very hard time. Jaedong has been given a huge window here to build up that drone count and get this transition going that he never would have had otherwise.
Yeah, Rush elected to get the armor upgrade before weapons as well, trying to, protect himself, shield these Marines from the relentless onslaught of these Mutalisks and stop those glaive bounces from triple killing his Marines on each volley. Doesn't seem like it's protected him too well here, though. If he somehow was able to win the fight against these Mutas, he could put a lot of pressure, and with that early +1 armor, it would take 3 Lurker Spine to actually eliminate them. So we'd have a timing to potentially get Jaedong just before he got his Lurkers online. But with how well the Mutalisks have fought against this 4-axe, there's not much hope for Rush. He's in a lot of trouble. Jaedong could either set up a whole position Lurker out on the map. He's actually going in to kill these turrets off. The Bioforce is threatening a counterattack right now, but Jaedong's kind of happy about that. He's already got the Lurkers in position to maybe even do a run by. He doesn't even have to deal with this force out on the map. He could come run in these Lurkers and set up a contain outside of Rush's base. I think that he has enough forces at this 3rd base to hold this. I imagine there's at least 2 Sunkens with 3 or so Lurkers up there. There they are, exactly 2 Sunkens and 3 Lurkers. The threshold of defense you need to have against a Bioforce in the mid-game. Very difficult to break through this. With the +1 armor, does have a chance, but it's very difficult.
He's going to go for it here. There's no Overlord over top of the stack of Lurkers, so he's going to try and run forward, target those down, but he's not able to make it work, and the Mutalisks are here as well. So GG, Rush taps out. Jaedong 2 wins on the board. Doing very well today in KCM. All right, Jaedong versus Stork. Here for game number 3. We got Jaedong in the bottom left, Stork in the top left on Metropolis. The new map pool has been announced. Did you see that, Shun?
No, I didn't actually. Could you tell me what the map pools are? Do you have that information?
I did have it up here. Why don't you talk about this map, though, first, while I take a look for that.
Okay, sure, yeah, we can do that. I love that the boot-shaped configuration of the main bases here. It kind of allows for some cheeky play. You can do slow link drops into the main base. It is overall a very Zerg-favored map against Protoss. We'll have to see how much Jaedong can leverage that against Stork. It's not just because of the little shenanigans of the drop you can do. It's actually these bases. You would think, oh, these are pretty easy third bases with a Protoss to take. Yeah, but inversely, it's true for the Zerg. They can hold the ramp with like 2-3 Hydras blocking easily. So it's very hard to do Zealot run-bys. And you can obviously morph a Lurker Egg there as well to block these ramps super easy. It's just very tough for Protoss players to get up here and punish some of these expansions, and a little bit difficult for Protoss to get beyond the third base mark. They can get the third base pretty quickly, but the fourth base tends to be a bit of an issue.
Just taking a look at the new maps now. It's not 100% decided here yet, but they have a few maps that they're looking at. There's one, Knockout, Litmus is the other one, and we've got Screaming Sea along with Polestar and Radeon.
Okay.
But before we talk about that, looks like we're gonna have a cannon rush here. Cannon rush from Stork. Dropping the cannons, dropping the pylons in behind this gas. We'll throw down an extra pylon just so there's not enough surface area for these drones to hop over. But it's very hard to hop over in this location unless you want to build on the gas geyser and then cancel that. You can hop over more than one drone with that, but it is very difficult. Cannon is on the way now, trying to block the next cannon from coming up here, but there's plenty of space behind the mineral patches to drop it, as well as you could just drop it here in the front. Will Jaedong be canceling here? He's only got the 4 drones off, and he's allowed this probe to get by. I think we might see a cancel here, Shun.
I mean, I think you have to cancel. Yeah, you have to. There's no way you're stopping that. And Jaedong going to be relegated to taking his natural third as his first hatchery. Already this cannon rush super successful. Stork can now cancel those additional cannons that are being set up. Nice catch on that probe though. That's a pretty big win, getting rid of that probe. The other probe is kind of trapped in with that cannon area, so killing the scouting probe and preventing any kind of shenanigans elsewhere is definitely a little bit of a win for Jaedong, denying the scouting information and what have you, but still in a world of hurt. This cannon rush has been successful, hasn't won him the game straight away, but makes things so much more awkward for Jaedong to navigate going forward.
You might be looking at this, guys, if you're a bit more of a layman and you're taking a look at the situation here, thinking, well, there's 200 minerals in pylons, 150 minerals in a cannon there. And, you know, he canceled the hatchery, so he gets a lot of that money back. How is this bad for the Zerg player? Well, the real problem here is that the hatchery is so late. The larval resource is way behind the curve of what it should be, and getting these drones out early is so important. So you just don't have the production. Now it's good that he was able to take down these this cannon with kind of a bare minimum number of lings, gets rid of that and gets this hatchery down, but it's still a dire position here for Jaedong, primarily because he just doesn't have that early larva.
Yeah, and without the early larva, you're in trouble, because if you can't squeeze the drones out in time, the biggest weakness of the Zerg is you can't make units and workers simultaneously, whereas Terran and Protoss can. So unfortunately, the Zerg will have a hard time squeezing out a stronger enough economy going into that mid-game phase as a result, because, you know, they'll be having to make some Zerglings here and there, and they'll be producing units at around about a time they've got way less drones mining than they would like to have. So unfortunately, Jaedong will be operating on fumes for some time, trying to squeeze out the prerequisite amount of units necessary to defend and go through to the next phases of the game, but on a kind of lackluster drone line of mineral saturation. So he'll be kind of operating on a very small economy going forward. Stork knows that. He's going to apply pressure with these first few zealots and try and force a few extra pairs of lings to be made, just so that there's even less drones than usual going forward.
Now, one way I've seen Zerg players deal with this is by adding on an extra 4th hatch and just going into 4-hatch Hydra, but oh my goodness, just barely pulls that drone away in time. No, he does pick that off. Not able to save that drone, and that just hurts so much. After the early damage that was done by the cannon rush, losing an early drone, it's devastating here for Jaedong. Now, he does get behind this Zealot, and he will force a trade. Second Zealot coming in here to the Naturals, not going to do too well either. So both Zealots get dealt with pretty effectively, and the drones can get back to mining now. Okay, attacking his own hatchery. He's going to put an end to that, and has put an end to this early Zealot harassment. So, I mean, things are going okay for Jaedong with that Zealot shutdown, but it's still a rough position because of these lost drones and the early larval deficit.
Yeah, it's still going to be a little bit tough for Jaedong, but this is a big win for him. The fact that he's able to catch these first 3 zealots so efficiently. He did lose 1 drone, so still a little bit dicey for him, but being able to catch those 3 zealots so efficiently does allow him to focus almost exclusively on drones for a while now, and he will have Aspire to get a couple of pairs of Scourge to thwart these harassing units that will mainly just be looking to scout and see what the exact follow-up and tech is of Jaedong. Make sure there's nothing sneaky like a fast Hydra Den. He's actually hiding his Hydra Den at his 3rd base to kind of make it look like his transition will be slower than it actually will be. Stork didn't bother to check that 3rd base location to see that den, so he might be surprised by the speed of Jaedong's transition if he's not able to identify that.
Yeah, that's interesting, and also you would expect Jaedong to go a little bit more heavy on Muta and Scourge because they are so much more cost efficient in dealing with Corsair and Zealot, but yeah, he's gonna just work up towards this regular 5-hatch Hydra. Great surround here on these Zealots as well, getting rid of these right before any sort of +1 or speed can come out. Again, really limiting the army for Stork and allowing him to focus harder on these drones, getting up to, you know, that good 40, 45 drone count before really even having to make a big wave of Hydras. So this is looking quite good for Jaedong as long as he takes advantage of this moment. Either with a big round of Hydras to go and hit his opponent, or just getting a bunch of drones out here to get into a good spot economically.
He's on like the bare minimal amount of drones, but he is going to be pumping out a lot of Hydras now to catch Stork off guard. I mean, Stork probably doesn't expect this. Like, he probably thinks he's safe for at least another minute or so. But I mean, the reality is that Jaedong has a timing to just bowl him over with Hydras if he so chooses. He will have a couple of storms available to him, but with some good storm dodging from Jaedong, he definitely could just annihilate Stork. There's only 1 single cannon at the choke point of Stork. I mean, this could be really powerful. And he's making an Archon. He's anticipating a Mutalist play, and it's not even coming. Stork's in a lot of trouble here, Sam.
Wow, this could be a really good mind game from Jaedong. Hiding that Hydra Den turns out to be super impactful, and now bringing up these Hydras, Stork is going to be absolutely flabbergasted. He sees these, he's like, oh my god, I thought you were going Mutas, and now I have nothing back here at home. This is almost a straight up win right here, right now. As long as he keeps these Overlords alive, he's going to target down some Corsairs. There's a DT here at the front. That's going to help him buy a little bit of time, but Overlord speed is done, and so as long as he doesn't lose this, and he kills off that DT, he should be able to push through directly into this natural and end this game.
I mean, Stork has to keep killing these overlords and make another DT or two. That's his real only hope of holding this on, of holding this off efficiently. There's just one single overlord here. He's going to come in and snipe that. Hopefully he's got a Dark Templar popping out in just a few moments, because he could still defend against this. At the moment, though, predominantly just Zealots pouring out of these gateways. Jaedong will get the Forge Snipe at least. Looks like a lot of cannons are being warped in. Maybe still Stork can hold the line, but he needs a Dark Templar here critically to make the trades go his way. Jaedong's going to force the issue, start gunning down these Zealots and trading backwards to force the Zealots to come to them. Now the probe's coming off the line. He's out of cannon range right now. He's getting a lot of value with this, but no Dark Templars critically coming out of these gateways. I'm so surprised from Stork, because he's killed. Okay, there's the first Dark Templar coming out to help. He's killed so many of these overlords on transit. His main win condition is keeping these Dark Templars out on the map and preventing these Hydras from coming in and doing damage. Jaedong did a little bit of damage, forced a lot of cannons, hasn't actually finished off Stork, so the game will still continue. And Jaedong doesn't have that many drones back at home. He needs to drone up, make another hatchery, get his third gas, and kind of, use this tiny window that he's achieved to really power up his economy. I think he's got some Scourge coming in now as well. A lot of Corsairs were made by Stork in this game, so I mean, Jaedong has like a minute or two to just go crazy on his macro and really power up now.
Well, I gotta say, that was some really solid crisis control there for Stork. I really thought he was going to die, but diving on the Overlords was the right choice, and he kept those Corsairs very active, pulled the probes at the right moment, and got that DT to the front. Now, this game is definitely not over, but just the fact that he managed to survive that without losing too many probes, and there's a real deficit here of drones for Jaedong, means he is going to be able to power up. Now that all these gateways are done, he can start to pump out a really massive army, and Jaedong has to split his time between making drones, getting up to that full saturation, and making Hydras and possibly Lurkers to follow this up.
Yeah, I think with how many cannons were made, it's still fairly even. It's going to take a little bit of time for Stork to power. Although this is a great play from Stork, coming down here and killing these Hydras off. And the Corsairs are being non-stop relentless, keeping these Hydras pinned back and mainly focusing on defending against the Corsair harassment. So definitely a window for Stork to potentially power up and punish with a very strong two-base timing. Well, he's kind of got to do one thing or the other. He's got to attack now with a Zealot Templar force, or just try and utilize those units to take a third base very early on. I think Jaedong's anticipating a potential expansion here at the 9 o'clock position. He's got some units there to scout and deny that. Stork trying to be active on the map with his forces. Jaedong are doing a great job of cleaning up some of these Dark Templars out on the map. Now going to be taking this hatchery location down in the bottom right natural, and this will be a little bit problematic for Stork. He's got to commit a lot of forces down here to deal with this. Jaedong's got a Lurker already morphed here. He can Lurker egg block the ramp as well, and with that Lurker already going to town with the subterranean spines, he'll easily dish out the damage necessary to stop these Zealots in their tracks.
Nice snipe there on the drone, though. At least keeps himself keeps Jaedong from getting that base online for himself. Now, this drop moving around the left-hand side, is it going to be able to sneak by? It looks like it barely sneaks through the fog of war. Jaedong not going to spot that. He's focusing primarily on these Zealots, which are running around while he's trying to get that base down in bottom right. This could do a huge amount of damage. The base here has a massive boot shape to it that allows for drops way up in the corner to end up getting quite a lot of damage. DT going in, but looks like Jaedong is more than on top of this. He knows it's coming, and he is going to shut it down completely. Beautifully done.
Oh, that was seriously well done from Jaedong. He's almost equalizing the supply counts as well. Stork was a little bit semi-all-in with that harassment attempt. He needed to find some critical damage there after being shut out from denying the fourth base in the bottom right completely. Even though he killed the drone, he was unable to get onto the high ground, which means eventually that base will probably go up, and he won't be able to do much about it. He needs his own third base at the 9 o'clock. Jaedong knows it. He's already in position to slow down that attempt, and we'll look for any potential value trades there. I think Stork will have enough forces to secure his third base, but it's a little bit too late now. Jaedong will proceed ahead of the curve and start to run away with this game at this rate. He's made a massive round of drones as well to saturate this fourth base in the southeast quadrant. So everything is lining up to be favoring Jaedong right now.
Yeah, this is a big round of drones, guys. My goodness, look at all that dronage getting sent down to bottom right-hand corner. He's going to be able to take two bases down there, most likely. And now he can possibly just lock down Stork on 3 bases. It's not the most comfortable lockdown, but I mean, it's not like you have a high ground here, right? Like, it's not deja vu, but you could potentially sit outside of this natural choke and just keep Stork at bait, never allow him to go out and get a fourth, and just dominate him with the use of Lurker Hydra.
You're absolutely right, Satan. That's one of the reasons we were talking about it earlier, why Metropolis is so hard for Protoss players. They can get this third base sometimes undeterred, despite Zerg sometimes driving a wedge between the rally and the third. It's the fourth base that is the nightmare for the Protoss here. You have to really pull yourself out of position to try and secure that. Defending your third while securing a fourth is seriously difficult to achieve, and it's much easier for the Zerg to just set up these lurker lines and split the map in half and take 2 corners and leapfrog up into 5 bases really quickly while you're stuck on 3. So now the onus is on Stork to make something happen and start to skirmish with the Zerg, or see if he can come down into this 4th and 5th base pocket. But again, that leaves him really exposed to do something like that. His third base needs to be fortified while he's pushing. Looks like he wants to push on the vertical axis to kind of defend while attacking. There's so many lurkers here for Jaedong. He's almost maxed out at 16 minutes. Jaedong's playing crazy good right now.
This big Dragoon wave is going to come forward. He needs to make something happen with these Dragoons before Hive ends up coming out here and makes things really difficult for him to push. That Dark Swarm will render these nearly useless, and so he pushes forward a little bit, trades slightly with the first row of lurkers, but definitely not going to be able to break through that. Too many Lings are coming out now to help and assist, and there's the Hive. It is done. Dude, Jaedong is really starting to run away with things, has the upgrades rolling here, and he's got that 5th base online to start just chumping out these units like crazy, having masses of Lings to go along with all these lurkers, now making a counterattack happen over towards the 12, while another counter moving over towards this 3rd is looking for any damage that he can get done right now, any wedge he can drive in the forces of Stork, who just cannot attack into this massive Zerg player right now.
Yeah, it's really well done from Jaedong. He's locking out Stork from taking the top right easily as well. He knows that Stork can, you know, get away with a 4th base without overwhelming him, but he can't allow the Protoss player to split the map horizontally completely. So he's going to do his best to lock out Stork from this top right, make it so that he has to use every single army that he can muster to try and take that high ground away from Jaedong, and Jaedong will look to intercept and do a wraparound attack, trying to get the lurkers into good positions on this army. They do bunch up when you reposition them though, so he can get some very effective storms, but look at the monstrous move out from Jaedong. He's going to do a massive pincer attack on this army. Stork has got nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. This army is all but dead, saying what a well-executed attack from Jaedong, cutting the head of this snake. And certainly Stork hasn't got the Hydras available to him, so these heads are definitely not going to be regrowing, unlike the absolute Sauron Zerg of Jaedong, almost maxed out with more to spare, pouring out of these hatcheries as he starts to launch an assault on this 4th base. There is no splash up here to help save that base. He's got lurkers to help lock out the reinforcements from the west flank as well. This should be a dead base from Stork, and unfortunately the only hopes he's got left now is to go on a counterattack down the vertical access towards the rally points of Jaedong, which are already fortified.
Yeah, they're just full of units that have been pouring out here for Jaedong. You can see he's got 2,000 minerals in the bank, can easily turn that into a massive army. in just a moment's time, and he's already got enough here to potentially block this counterattack. A few lurkers, a few lings, and a big mass of hydras is going to be knocking this out. GG, what a comeback from Jaedong after that initial cannon rush. Forced the cancel. The position was rough, but Jaedong managed to muscle through completely over. It's so rare that running forward with lurkers and surrounding a massive Protoss army like that ever really works out well for the Zerg player, but he had such an incredible amount of army there, easily able to completely overwhelm that without hardly losing anything. It's time for Sok to step up. Spawning down here in the bottom left-hand corners. Today, his day. He's been having it rough lately. Really been struggling to put out good games, but he's here week after week, trying to fix his reputation. I mean, it's definitely been damaged after the last couple of performances.
I mean, they say every dog has his day, saying, but I'm not sure he's even that far up the food chain currently. I mean, he's currently the mud on the shoes of some of these other pro gamers. They've just been stomping on his face, and even when he does seem to be in a favorable position, he somehow lets it slip through his fingers or makes some very ill-advised decisions, like suddenly stopping blocking off the choke in his wall or something. Just really questionable stuff all around. Definitely not playing his A game. Maybe he typoed when he made his ID, and that's supposed to be a U, not an A.
Well, he's not going to see this Overlord coming into his natural, but he is going to scout in the correct direction. Opening here with a 1 Rax, most likely straight into fast expand with the benefit of that wall. Jaedong opening with a more economic hatchery first. He's going to add up to 12 drones, or add up to 12 supply before grabbing that gas geyser. So definitely more looking like a 2.5 hatch build, which is when you add the 3rd hatchery inside your main base around the time you're going to be throwing down that spire, sometimes before, sometimes after, depending.
Yeah, he's going to be optimizing way more for lava and unit production overall than his raw, crisp tech timings. That's how he was able to dispatch Rush so easily, was because his tech timings were very clean. So getting in there a few seconds extra early enabling you to get the better of a slightly delayed turret. You won't be able to get that happening with this kind of opener most often, but certainly we'll be able to produce a lot more drones and what have you, and also open up the possibility for Mutalisk Zergling compositions. With the extra lava afforded you from that 3rd hatchery, we'll be able to build a lot more units than usual in that mid-game phase, and you can overwhelm Terrans a lot. Sulky loves to do it, where he just suddenly pumps out a round of speed Zerglings to help out his Mutalisks in the air, deal with the little bio ball as it wants to come across the map. And we could see something like that here from Jaedong. Oh, a nice little tactile player from Sark, going to be getting a fast factory, maybe for a Valkyrie play here or something. Trying to deny the air superiority of Jaedong's Mutalisk Micro by making some units that are designed to deal specially with that.
Yeah, it's kind of looking that way. Maybe Sok gonna opt for that style. Try to deal with the outsized number of mutas that are going to be coming his way, along with the lings on the ground with this 2.5 hatch. By just getting that air splash damage early. It's a very quick tech, and so if it's not that Armory and Valkyrie transition, I'm not sure exactly what it could be. It's most likely going to be that play and trying to shut that down, although he may go with some vultures, speed vultures as well, to try and supplement that. That's probably why he's getting this add-on, but I'm not completely sure here just yet.
I mean, you would think so. It's very difficult to do a tank push this early. I mean, it might work on the ladder against some Zergs that are a little bit greedy and don't make that many Mutalisks and what have you, this is most likely gonna be some kind of Speed Vulture build, saying it's the most cost-efficient thing without being too risky given the current positions and game state. So I would agree with you. This is the only thing it could be, but I do imagine it will be a Valkyrie follow-up after the fact. He's just going to attempt to do some surprising damage to Jaedong. He's not got any Sunkens right now. He's going to be relying on a small force of Speedlings, but there's 3 Vultures with speed running out. Suddenly these Lings will not be sufficient enough in thwarting that, and a lot of drones could fall.
Well, he's just started all of his Muta production, so I mean, we're waiting here for 3 Vultures most likely, and those 3 Vultures are going to come out as the Mutas are coming across the map, and with the Lings here at the front spotting that, he should be able to just maneuver the Mutas to deal with this, no problem. There's the Mutas popping out already. He's even built Scourge here, dude. Jaedong knows exactly what's happening, and he's going to look to get the snipe on that Valkyrie. Here comes those Vultures here, gonna go ahead and push out onto the map, but the Mutas are already there, ready to intercept. He probably has to pull back here, but Jaedong actually going in right now. This is kind of dangerous. He's going to make all Lings behind this to try and hold off the Vultures that are making their way into the natural, but can he dive on top of the Valkyrie? Gets a Valkyrie. Huge kill on that Valkyrie. This is exactly what he was looking for.
I'm getting chills. He's now buying enough time with these Zerglings for the Mutalists to get back home. He just wanted that one precious kill on that Valkyrie. Might lose a few drones, though. This is nice from Sark getting a few drone kills for compensation, but it's not enough to secure a lead in the game. This is just kind of flattening the edges out for himself. It's pretty good, but it's not game-ending damage by any stretch of the imagination. Losing that first Valkyrie is like letting gold dust slip through your fingers. You will eventually get back up to a higher count of Valkyries, but if you lose the first 2 Valkyries more or less for free, you're just falling flat on your face with a tactile play like this because of how flimsy it is. Racing ahead in tech means you haven't got that many production facilities, so he's trying to play misdirection and distraction with these Vultures, keep Jaedong's attention out on the map so that he can't establish this third base mining base too easily up in the top right corner of the map. But Jaedong's not going to worry about that for the time. He's just going to pound up these turrets into the main base. He has a pair of Scourge as well to try and get up these Valkyries. Sark needs to be so careful with his micro. 3 volleys from these Mutas take out Valkyrie. Does find 1 Scourge connection, just needs a few more volleys and 1 more Scourge connection. He's going to wipe out these Valkyries. 1 does fall. He might save the other one, but already Jaedong taking the sting away from Sark's tactile play. Some nice play here from Sark, trying to shut down mining in the top right, but eventually I think Jaedong's looking to be slightly favorited going forward.
Well, the Valkyries are still incrementing out here slowly, and not a lot of SCVs have gone down. Looks like he gets about 3 there, flying through the main base and slowing down those barracks adds. So the follow-up here definitely going to be that bio play. Super necessary to get the Hydra Den in that case, so it's a good thing he managed to fully scout out what was going on here. He will most likely have the Lurker transition in time, but can he really stabilize here on this third base, get that third gas mining, and have himself a decent economic position here with what could be a very strong follow-up from Sark?
Yeah, some pretty good Vulture movements from Sark. He's keeping his active threat alive. Jaedong inversely has a good idea of what he needs to do against this. Sark also has some good ideas on how to challenge Jaedong appropriately. There's a big investment into these Valkyries. He lost quite a few and replenished them. He's now up to a count of 3 again, and will be making a tank push occur behind this. So he's kind of going semi all in with this attack. He's hoping to catch Jaedong off guard, getting a weapons upgrade on that armory as well. If he is able to get on top of Jaedong before the transition is fully underway, there is a possibility that Sark could eliminate Jaedong in this game, but we'll come down to micro still. Hive is on the way, Evolution Chamber as well. Jaedong needs to identify that this is a tank push to have any hopes of stopping it efficiently. Right now he's just playing catch up, getting this base mining, switching into Lurkers, so definitely a window here for Sark to punish. We'll utilize these Valkyries as point defense to try and get this army in position transition, and these two tanks will put Jadong on a bit of a clock here, despite having the lurker transition.
With this teched out play, the chaos of the early game going on can cause the Zerg player to just have a later hive overall than they otherwise would. There's just a lot happening with the vultures trying to run by in that, but it seems like Jadong has hit that hive timing, and he might be able to get out a defiler here in time. Oh, only 2 sunken colonies at the front. The lurkers are going to make their way forward, but if the sunkens go down before the lurkers can burrow, that's going to be really tragic here for Jadong. This lurker is going to be targeted down immediately. Another lurker pops out, but the lurker on high ground goes down. Mutas come up from behind here, but a lot of drones are starting to fall, and the Valkyries are still available here and trying to gun down these mutas. He goes after the tanks, manages to take them out. Lurkers are going to burrow here, but the mutas are going to get targeted down, and the Marines can run by. Marines getting over towards this mineral line, getting even more damage, and behind this, a lot of overlords falling as well. This is becoming very difficult for Jadong as more and more of his economy gets ruined here, and more of his overlords continue to go down. Looks like he will lose both of these Valkyries, so something looking up here for Jadong. But again, more harassment coming over towards this third base. This is a crazy chaotic game, and Sok is transitioning into mech. Wild what we're seeing here.
Yeah, I'm kind of blown away that Jadong's still alive. Like, Sark should have been able to win the game with that push and was unable to do so. Jadong has a lifeline to turn this into a bit of a comeback now. Jadong should have been eliminated with that push timing. Was really perfect from Sark. He had the fundamentals down in how to, you know, break the point of weakness from Jadong. The main way you defeat Zergs is to, you know, try and exploit these transition points where they're going from one unit composition into another, and there's a small window where you can just break the Zerg down and eliminate them immediately. And Sark had a great plan, and the timings was almost perfect from him. Just the execution was a little bit lackluster in actually getting the kill move on Jadong, and Jadong didn't lose as many of his drones as he should have, for example. Now getting some drone damage into the main base. This is not too bad, but not too good either. Like, he's not ever finding critical damage with some of these attacks. Jadong is still technically alive in this game, although the mech transition from Sark might be very strong, especially with this fourth base in the bottom right coming up. So there is still hope for Sark to just smash Jadong in this game, especially if he's worried about bio when actually it's going to be a mech play.
Well, Jadong he's just sitting back right now. He is in a very defensive position. He needs to get some defilers out and really lock things down. Oh, this muted though getting down here is super nice. He will delay that, and in fact Sok would love to have that CC done, plus some factories up on that high ground to start incrementing out those tanks, really getting that high ground established. But he can't do that right now. He's too busy running by here over towards this third base. How many drones can he get here? A few more mutas are popping out. Jadong realizing that he needs a little bit more mobile attacking units that can run by some of these mines, maybe get on top of that base in the bottom right. He cannot allow that high ground to get established, to get held down by a lot of tanks, or he's just never going to be able to break that base, and we're going to have a split map situation with mech, which is never fun.
I can't believe that Jadong only lost one drone to those vultures. Sark was too busy dealing with one single Mutalist harassing his third base. Jadong intercepts the dropship potentially. Only 2 vultures getting out. That's not too bad either, though. He can start target firing down. These drones are causing a lot of pressure onto Jadong, who's actually going all in on the rally point right now. There's so many drones are falling into main base, though. That's really good damage from Sark to start to finally put the nails into Jadong's coffin. But is it too little too late? Jadong's already getting a 4th base online and has killed a lot of tanks with those mutas at his own rally points, and going a little bit tit for tat here in this game. Jadong has enough macro hatcheries to re-establish that economy as well. Finally, this base in the bottom right has been established. Jadong's going to try and put a lot of pressure onto this natural third of the mutas. Note, but there's too many turrets to do that. So instead, it would be great if he comes around to this 4th base location and tries to take that out right here, right now.
Yeah, he's going to block the missile turret from going up. Oh, another run by over at this third. Dude, Sock is doing a little bit too good of a job at just hitting these bases over and over again. And I think Jaedong probably making a mistake here sending these mutas back. Shutting down that base at bottom right should be a higher priority. Get down there and block that. Kill those Marines and get rid of that turret. Force the lift and at least force a bunch of units down there to deal with it. Otherwise, Sock is going to start to run away with things, sending a bunch of tanks across the map now. Going to dive on top of some of these Goliaths, doing a pretty good job there, but Irradiates go down. That really shuts down the Mutalisks. They will just have to fly back. In fact, Sock will back away for now, but just establishing this high ground is huge. Having a couple of factories over here, start making those tanks, and he can just go into this big, fat macro game with mass upgrades and split map situation.
Yeah, the writing is on the wall for Jaedong with this bottom right actually secured. Jaedong was unsuccessful in stopping that from occurring. But this should have been a one game from Sark already, I would like to point out. Like, this is just Sark having a hard time closing the deal, so to speak. So he should still win from this position, but I would say this game should have been over 5 minutes ago. He does have a lot of forces now to leverage against Jaedong. It's going to be very tough for Jaedong to make a comeback happen. Lurkers do technically exist forever underneath Dark Swarm unless there's Irradiates, but the Vulture run by into this top right main base is really critical damage. So much economy of Jaedong now going down. His hopes at getting an all-kill prize completely being diminished now. Has a few Zerglings trying to get some tactical snipes on some of these tanks and shuffling forward a few Lurkers to kind of buffer and keep those tanks out of range from his own hatcheries and stopping critical damage done to his infrastructure. But it's already Sark should be able to close out this game given the current positions.
Yeah, it's up to Jaedong to get on top of these tanks, clear them out super efficiently. Also pick off a bunch of these vessels too. He's got so many different things he's got to juggle right now. He's got to work on breaking this open, and there's going to be drops coming in. The Scourge are going to get taken out here right before the drop flies in, so even more. Oh gosh, he's going to start moving a bunch of Goliaths here onto the high ground. Is not what I expected, but it could end up with him just taking out these units. Okay, he does get a very nice Dark Swarm there on that high ground. We may end up seeing Plagues come out here as well soon. Go ahead, Shun.
Oh no, it's okay. I'm just so blown away by this scrappy game. Like, I think Jaedong should have been dead a long time ago. I mean, it is kind of well played from Sark. The strategy was really good. It's just the execution a little bit on the lackluster side. Although I love to see a mech transition in Terran versus Zerg. So I'm really happy Sark went for this idea as well. It's a great way to close out the game after a very chaotic start. And there shouldn't be much that Jaedong can do about this. He does finally shut down that drop ship, but I mean, he's kind of making a valiant effort of utilizing Dark Swarms to hold the Terran at bay. But I mean, the writing is on the wall. There's nothing he can really do to stop this slow, painful death. GG has finally called, and no hopes of an all-kill prize here today unless somehow Sark takes out Action and Soul Key. I don't see that happening.
Yeah, it looks like that all-kill prize is going to continue to grow. Sad to see Jaedong go down, but he put out a valiant effort there in the last game. Will not proceed any further. Snow versus Sock. That's coming up next. All right, here he is, Sock. Over in the top left. Snow down in the bottom left. Hard to imagine Sock taking out Snow here, but we'll see. That was a pretty impressive play from Sock. Definitely leaning into his strengths. Going for that Vulture play. That's the way that he generally takes down Protoss players, but able to utilize that tech in TVZ to great effect. Taking out Jaedong is a pretty big achievement considering how well he's been playing today.
Yeah, no, I would say that was a great strategy from him. It's a shame he didn't get the timing attack to be successful right away. Like, I think he should have won that game just before the 11-minute mark. Would have been a great way of going out and showing a very strongly executed timing attack. Unfortunately, it wasn't so clean, but also demonstrated a nice mech transition to close things out. Definitely not the worst thing that could have happened here for Sark. I mean, if somehow he performs well, I don't expect him to beat Snow here, but if he somehow performs well against Snow here, maybe I'll, you know, see a little bit of redemption coming from Sark, and I won't be so hard on him. But I need to see a little bit more from him. Jaedong's a very hit and miss kind of guy. Like, it's not uncommon for Jaedong to smash face and then suddenly play a bit wonky as well. So I need to see more from Sark.
That was a big ballsy play from Jaedong, going in with the mutas when he saw that there were 3 vultures out on the map and just going in for that Valkyrie. Those 3 vultures can absolutely ravage your economy, and they ended up not doing too much damage. The follow-ups did end up getting the damage that he was looking for, but it was close. I mean, there were some close moments there, right? If that drop doesn't get off, if he manages to kill that before the 2 vultures get out, and then he just shuts that down completely, we could have seen a completely different game. Now we're here with Sok getting into his factory here about that 2:30-minute mark, so 12 gas from him. Snow getting a zealot out, looking to do a little bit of early pressure here. He hasn't quite scouted out where Sok is at just yet. Going to be sending that probe to center right, and then the zealot over to top left. I doubt he'll get much damage with this, but anything is possible. Snow is crazy good right now. This guy, absolute best, hands down. I think Terran or Protoss versus Terran player, maybe only contended by best potentially.
I mean, Sark needs to work on his optimizations, though. That was like a 231, 232 factory, and he didn't even SCV scout. There's no pressure, there's no probe harass. Like, there's no excuses. That factory should be at least 1 second, ideally 2 seconds ahead of that schedule. And now he's got his 2 Marines caught out by the 14 Zealot of Snow. I mean, this is a little bit suboptimal. He needs to be careful. These first 3 Marines are so vital in shutting down this harassment. If he loses any of them, it's going to be a little bit problematic. He's done a good dance around so far, hasn't lost any of those. If he can somehow take out this Zealot and only lose 1 Dragoon, it's not too bad, but now his Marines are softened up for this Dragoon to exploit. There's 2 Marines that are very low on HP, so Snow going to take out one of those with a phase disruption shot. And he critically sees the CC timing. That's what he mainly cares about. And he's got a bit of leftover shields to work with to harass a little bit, but he doesn't want to take too much damage onto this Dragoon from the Marines. The Vulture won't really do too much damage with each of those fragmentation grenades to the whole HP, but the Marines definitely can. The Marines have very high DPS, so he's going to be very careful about how he engages. This is really hyper-aggressive from Snow. I don't agree with this idea at all. He's going to lose this Dragoon to kill an extra Marine. That's a really big mistake from Snow.
Yeah, that was a little bit too much, diving too deep. Good pull away from Sok to bait that in, and takes the better end of the trade at the tail end of that fight. Citadel to follow this up. Snow is going to go for some DT play, so this is a potential game that... Pardon? Excuse me?
Oh, I heard you lag out there. Okay, you're still here. I thought you were going to DC there for a second. Oh, he's
all right.
on Dark Templars, yeah.
Yeah, he is going Dark Templar. This is a potential game that Sok could win. If he shuts down this Dark Templar play, after shutting out that first Dragoon, there's a possibility that he could really take it to Snow. If Snow went for just straight up Reaver, I mean, what are the chances that Sok can beat that? But here, I mean, he's got a real shot.
I mean, maybe these guys just feel bad for Sok and they're kind of throwing him a bone a little bit or something, but that was very uncharacteristic from Snow to lose that Dragoon early on and then follow it up with a Dark Templar play. I mean, certainly not playing into his usual wheelhouse and forte. Sok, I mean, as long as he's got some turrets set up, he might be able to thwart this DT play very cost efficiently. It will be a drop into the main though, so if he hasn't got any turrets set up strategically in his main base, he's going to be in a little bit of trouble. I mean, it's very common though for Terrans to at least make 1 turret in the main, as well as have tanks there waiting for a potential Reaver drop harass or something like that. So we should have at least 2 tanks and a singular turret here at the bare minimum. Maybe another turret or 2, as well as a 3rd tank showing up to help out. Maybe Sark can defend against this.
This position on Dark Origin, really Dark Origin in general, it's hard to cover everything with turrets, which is why it's quite difficult in a lot of these positions. Oh, excuse me, on Dominator. To cover everything against Mutalisk. And so he's going to come up here with the drop. And there's going to be something on the periphery of the base. Something that's not within that range of detection that he can start to harass. Sock sees the dropship coming in. He's expecting a Reaver most likely, but he's going to be pretty well prepared here. It just seems like the starport is the only thing that's not really in range of a turret. That starport at the north. Dropping the DT here first. There's no, of course, no comsat at all. He's opted for it. A armory plus eBay to be able to kind of smooth things out here. He will get that armory now, but he's lost a supply depot so far. Can Snow slip through into the pocket here in the corner? Already on top of it. Nice move with the Goliaths to get out ahead of that.
Wow, I mean, the stars are aligning for Sark to have a strong showing here against Snow. I didn't expect that. He has got a tiny little room for maneuver to take out this machine shop, but I mean, he does lose the shuttle. This is not ideal. Yeah, I'm not so sure about this for Snow. He had to transition into Arbiter because of the Templar alignment. Does allow you to go straight into Arbiter play pretty smoothly as a mineral only base coming online right now. He's getting some damage with these Dark Templars, but as you can see, Sark preparing that machine shop up and prevents critical damage from being dealt to him. So when all's said and done, this is pretty Sark favored. I mean,
he could kill this tank.
I'm so surprised.
Yeah, he does kill the tank.
Okay, that's something. So, I mean, that's not too bad. Now this is a little bit less Sark favored, but I mean, still should go his way as long as he executes well.
Yeah, this is forcing quite a response from Sark. It's slowing him down a bit, but I agree, it's not doing the damage that it should with the investment that was laid down by Snow. Getting that early shuttle, plus the DT, he's just going to have very few things here to deal with the upcoming push of Sark. Even gets rid of that DT. So as long as the push out is okay, as long as he doesn't just dive on top of one of these tanks or two of these tanks, kill them off immediately, that was a little bit of danger there for Sark, but as long as something like that doesn't happen, he should have a pretty strong push coming up here. Diving forward and maybe shutting down this fourth base. Snow being super greedy behind this, taking both a third and a fourth off of that DT play.
No, I like this from Snow. I think you do have to take some risks here. If you play a completely straight up game, the Terran's going to outscale you too dramatically. Dropship coming down this vertical axis on the left hand side of the map could do a lot of damage though. With this base being taken by Snow, it gives him full warning on dealing with that. Hopefully we'll have some Dragoons in position in his natural to try and intercept and prevent critical damage done to his own economy now. As a result, it looks like he might get a vulture or two still inside the main base of Snow. There is a cannon there and Dragoons currently in pursuit, so he shouldn't kill more than like 3 or 4 probes here in total. So it's not anything too special from Sark, and slowly but surely Snow might be able to equalize this strange opening after losing that Dragoon, failing with the Dark Templar drop. This double expansion attempt and shutting down that drop pretty cleanly might work out for Snow quite well here.
He also prevented, excuse me, the third base from Sark going up on location over there at the top center. So Sark is going to be looking to take his mineral only here soon, potentially going to push behind that, but Snow has a bit of leeway here. He's got some time. He's going to have that fourth base up and operational for a little bit before Sark's ready to make any sort of a move, aside from just running by with vultures. There it is. Manages to get a few extra probes there and a connection with the mines as well. Those softened up Dragoons are tempting for a Terran player to push out against.
I mean, he's got the 5 factories to make it happen. He certainly could pull the trigger on going for something like that. He's even got a science vessel out super early. It's going to start banking up energy for D-matrixes and potentially EMP if the game drags on long enough. It probably will be some kind of teched out play from Snow. But it seems like he's actually doing a more Gateway Man-esque style. It doesn't seem like he's utilizing that Templar Archives to go straight into Arbiter plays. Instead, just using it to go straight into Storm with shuttles. That certainly lines up for Gateway Man very effectively. Now Sark going to be slowly floating this CC out to that third rather than putting it on location. And look at this, maybe a fifth base pretty early from Snow around about the 12-minute mark. Could be really crazy strong if he's not able to be shut down. So far, looks like Sark, though, doing a little bit of counter-harassment with some of these Vulture raiding parties, getting a lot of probe kills. This is siphoning off some of the potential power spike for Snow from getting too strong too quickly here.
He also shut down that fifth base probe that was down there. Has been taken care of and has +2 now already. We're 12 minutes in the game. Sokka's +2 already. So really did go for a very heavy up mech style, managing to defend that DT while going for that style. Pretty impressive stuff, and it's given him a great footing to push into this next stage of the game. Snow, on the other hand, you know, he's going to try and get over here, see what he can do with some early storms. Throwing down a storm here, kind of whiffs it. That D-Matrix on one of these Vultures actually helping out a bit, as that was inside the storm damage radius there. Secondary storm going to get rid of a couple of these tanks, but pushing straight up here with Dragoons, not going to go too well for Snow. Sok wrapping around here. He's going to bring the tanks up and start to pick off these Dragoons, and this is really all the army Snow has right now. He's got a small force of Dragoons kind of over by the mineral only, but he's going to lose every Dragoon here as it starts to retreat. Okay, 2 barely managed to escape, and Sok will establish this when he is already kind of on the way to +3. This is looking pretty strong for Sok, as long as he can maintain this third and potentially get into a 4th here unfazed.
Yeah, I think this was very questionable from Snow, honestly. Like, I think it would have been better off just clear mines in the center and try and go for some storm drops on the SCV line when they transferred the train over. This is a little bit unorthodox of an approach from Snow compared to his usual forte. Seems to be kind of like just coasting along, not really excelling in this game, and being very active with his Vultures is Sark and trying to shut down some of these bases from being operational. And I mean, it will siphon off a lot of hopes from Snow getting off the ground too quickly here. Although the longer this goes on, the worse it will be for Sark. He has to make some moves. He needs to take a 4th base and start to quickly race ahead to that sort of like 170, 180 supply mark, so we can actually start to push out to the center of the board and launch some attack vectors on some of these bases. The center of the board is so strong for Terran, with the little cliff faces and doodads, really bottlenecking up any Protoss advancements and making it easy to circumnavigate this high to low ground transitions of the pizza slices as well. And look, I mean, Sark's being super active with these Vultures, getting a little bit of a trickle damage here and there onto these probe lines. I don't think it's enough yet in this game. Like, I feel like he really does need to just get this 4th base online and churn out as many units as possible of 7 to 9 factories. Snow is going to really start to outproduce him soon once these 2 additional bases come online in the bottom right.
Well, time is a little bit on Sok's side here, as that +3 is coming online. He's going to take this high ground, but only with a small portion of his units. Nice snipe there on the first Templar. Storm does go out on 2 tanks here in the front line, 2 in the back line as well. Just not enough forces being brought forward here for Sok. He's got a lot of stuff kind of defending over at that 3rd base, some stuff sieged up in the main as well, others at the rally, and so he just didn't have the muscle to hold this location just yet. Loses a lot of his tanks here, and now he's going to have a hard time really maxing out with a good count of tanks. Sending the Vultures over here to the 4th, or the 6th base, excuse me, is going to help him out a lot, just slowing down Snow and making sure that he doesn't continue to grow out of control. But He needs to get this 4th base online right now. I agree with you, Shun. This 4th is a little bit late now, and the main and natural are going to start to mine out here. You have to maintain 2 base saturation, 2 base economy.
Yeah, I think there's the vulture harassment from Sark is kind of a double-edged sword. Like, on the one hand, he's chipping away at the economy of Snow, but on the other, he's losing a lot of vultures in the process, and it's made it very difficult to secure the high ground of this mineral, only not having enough to screen against the speed zealots. Finally, it seems like he's got enough muscle to make that eventuality a reality. But I mean, I don't know, man. It does seem a little bit too slow from Sark. That's some nice connections on this army, though. If he can kill this army efficiently, that would be great. He does target down the High Templar as well. Most of the tanks are starting to fall to the Zealots, but it doesn't matter. As long as he cleans up those Zealots quickly enough, that's a pretty efficient trade here from Sark. And suddenly looking to be a more and more favored position. He's finally got this 4th base online, which is very critical. You need to have 2 mining bases at all times as Terran to feel comfortable in the game. It's not such a big deal if Protoss has 2 more mining bases than you. As long as you've got 2 fresh bases, there's always a fighting chance.
He's actually ahead in supply. That was a great trade from Sok, coming forward and just targeting down. But see how many tanks he has over here at that 3rd base. If he brings all of his army together, he stands a much better chance than splitting off this army so much. I think that's why he lost his high ground. I like the idea of moving forward, getting over the mines and holding that high ground, but not bringing everything was really hurting him there. Lucky he took a good fight against Snow with that siege up near the army and then snipes on the High Templar, but he needs to continue that momentum. Get over here and shut down Snow from taking center right and really making this into a long, drawn-out game where another location can be taken, another rally point can be secured here by Snow, who's going to wrap around, look for some big storm drops now. I don't think that Sox necessarily spotted this yet, and it could be a lot of his economy going down here in a moment.
Yeah, hopefully he can react quickly enough to it. SCVs only have 60 HP, but that's more than enough as long as you react to get out from underneath those storms. It's 110 damage in 2.5 seconds, so if you do react to the storm dodge quickly enough, all those SCVs will survive with like 10 HP. Here's a massive attack here on the western flank. So much beautiful sonic storms. Preemptive Dematrix coming out to try and save the tanks. Dematrix is a really great counter to Storm and preventing those tanks from dying and providing a lot more value to the Terran overall. But I mean, I have to say, this is a very shaky game from Snow. Like, I don't know what is going on from Snow, but he's been really off all game long. Like, looting that Dragoon in the start, the failed DT drop, and questionable attack at the 3rd base, despite the 1st Dragoon initially shutting it down. I don't know, man. Like, there's something weird in the air right now, saying, like, definitely some of these players are playing a little bit more off, and Sark, for a change, is actually performing. So certainly we are in a different parallel reality.
There's a big force moving around the right-hand side for Sok. He's actually going to trap the army over in the top right-hand corner, but he's not worried about tracking that down and killing it. More so, getting on top of this high ground over at bottom right, center right, actually might be able to take out this extra base and start to secure this side of the map for himself. He's at least going to force Snow into a big engagement. With this huge army, the +3 is going to make a huge difference, and actually Snow might counterattack. Snow might just go for the kill on one of these bases. No, he's waffling right now with 2,000 minerals in the bank, completely maxed out. Sok maxed out as well with 3-1. This army is looking almost impossible to kill. Can Snow find some way to get a decent enough trade to actually make this work? He's getting some good storms on these high ground tanks, buying some time for this base, but the base at center right has already been shut down, and Snow, he's having a really hard time getting up here on this high ground to deny this.
I mean, it looks like Sark might be able to do it. Eventually, I think that he's going to clean up some of these tanks, but the overall position is looking okay for Sark. These tanks are a little bit exposed, so he needs to get down here with some additional units to support these. Doesn't want to throw away too many more tanks to Snow. That's one good comeback mechanic for Protoss players, is just sniping a bunch of tanks. And so far he's done a pretty good job of that. Has saved this Nexus for the time being, although there's a lot more Terran starting to encroach on that position. Finally some reinforcements showing up from Snow in a big way. Might catch some of these tanks out of position with Sark's eagerness to try and knock out this base. I mean, this will be a crazy throw from Sark if he somehow loses this. I think it's a really good position that he's found himself in at long last against Snow. Snow is in full-on desperation mode, trying to stop this base from going down.
Another D-Matrix and another slowing down these storms from dealing much damage. These Dragoons are going to come down, and of course the tanks are going to take their blood price here, their pound of flesh, as the Dragoons try to run by. Kills off quite a few of those and prevents the Dragoons from actually doing much of anything out on the map. They're actually going to meet up kind of in the center, not able to catch any of these rallies though that are coming down, and Sok is closing in on this base. Bottom right needs to be saved here from Snow. He's running out of money in his natural and his main. His natural completely gone. Main is also going down as well. This is some great catching of the reinforcements, though. Those Dragoons actually getting some value here as Sok sends in the reinforcements across the map. Those are going to get taken down. He gets some good storms here, but there's still more tanks pouring in. His base is going down here. I just don't see how Snow can save it.
Yeah, it looks like a very dire situation here from Snow. He needs to go on the counter and try and take out this fifth base from Sark and put pressure back onto this mineral only as an afterthought as well, to keep most of Sark's forces tied down and not wanting to launch additional attacks against Snow. I'm kind of blown away that Sark is actually in this good a position against him, but Sark does seem to be playing pretty well today, but I also feel like Snow is playing really off today. I haven't really seen too much convincing decision making from Snow pretty much all game long, and looks like he might be taken out by Sark. I don't think even Sark could find a way of throwing this game right now. It looks pretty one-sided. I don't think that the counter-attack at the mineral only will be too successful from Snow either. He needs to get like crazy storm damage onto the SCV lines to have any chance at coming back in this game. And he needs to predominantly focus on storming the tanks, not the SCVs. He's doing a pretty good job of siphoning off a lot of these tanks, though. Maybe there's still a way of Snow making this work. He looks favorable in terms of supplies, but supplies do not tell the whole story in most StarCraft games.
Yeah, there's just no base down here at the bottom right. There is something going on at center right. I'm not sure what that is. It looks like he built like a gateway or something over there. Maybe two gateways behind the mineral patches, setting up the start of another rally point over in that center right. Now he's finally brought forward the Reavers, so put a Reaver in this man's hands. I mean, anything can happen. He might still be able to make this work with just those units, those spirit animal units coming in with the Zealots now from the north. Looks like he is going to clear these tanks, so at least he'll save this base. But saving this base was like prerequisite for just not dying. Winning this game is going to require more expansions from Snow.
Yeah, I mean, the 24-minute Reaver build is not something I'd recommend to you guys on the ladder. I mean, I guess Snow got a little bit frustrated with his performance and wants to, try and channel that spirit animal and find some value there at long last. But would have loved to have seen him just go for this straight up against Sark. I don't think we'd be seeing this kind of game right now. A lot of heavy lifting needs to be done to pull himself out of the small hole he's created for himself. Another counterattack coming from Snow on his vertical axis of mineral only, though. This is not a bad attack. It zones out the Terran from establishing control over this other fifth base on the left-hand side, so maybe Snow can knock that out on the retreat from attacking this mineral only base, but I don't know, like this could go either way. Like there's a lot of damage done to these tanks of Sark. Snow is starting to bowl over the tank count. I'm kind of blown away that Sark is potentially going to throw this game. Like there's no way that Sark should lose this game. If he loses this, then my suspicions are confirmed, because like Snow has not been performing well all game long.
The snow's been pretty hard up for most of this game. The Terran has that +3 upgrade. He's got the top right. He's got the top left. He's holding both of those locations. As long as Snow doesn't shut either of those two bases down, it seems like he doesn't even know about top left, honestly. Like, he doesn't know that that's been retaken. And now getting in on top of all of these probes, I can't see how Snow is going to bring this one back. He needs to find out about that base and try to shut it down. Sock having those two bases right now is just unacceptable.
It's really crazy that Snow's not even checking this base in the top left. It's like the one way that he will guarantee losing the game is if he allows Sark to continually mine off two bases. He shut down the mineral only, but hasn't yet identified and shut down this base in the top left yet again. He knew about it earlier. He should be suspicious that Sark will attempt to re-establish that as the game progresses, and has kind of just ignored it for the time being. Now focusing on the right side of the map instead. We'll be getting this Nexus down in the main base on the 3 o'clock shutdown. Has the natural expansion still to work with. But I mean, this is a really scrappy, interesting game we've got. It's going to be hard for both players to navigate. Sark is spread really thin on both sides of the map. If somehow Snow can identify that base was taken yet again, but at the time being, Snow's kind of giving him a bit of a bone to chew on. Now going to be focusing on trying to attack into his rally point.
Ooh, I don't know about the attack into the rally point. I mean, it makes more sense if there was no base in the top left-hand corner. He is getting on top of a lot of this stuff. There's a great EMP earlier that went down on a lot of these high Templar. He is going to kill the CC here, pushing down on the low ground. These tanks are very stacked. He's going to get some great storms on those, just getting rid of a lot of that firepower. And Sock, he's losing his natural, right? Dude, Sock is going to be absolutely falling apart here, falling out of his chair as he gets broken in this natural.
What is happening? I so wanted to be wrong and wanted Sark to actually beat Snow, especially because Snow wasn't playing so good today. There's just no words to explain how much he shouldn't be losing this game. Like the fact that he's even getting away with his base on the left-hand side for this long and is still losing his rally point. What would you even make of this saying? Like, this is craziness. Like, this shouldn't happen. Like, he was in the driver's seat almost all game long since that Dragoon died in his natural right at the start. The DT drop was completely thwarted, besides losing like a couple of depots and a single tank, and I just don't get it. I just don't understand how he's finding a way of losing this game. Oh, he's finally going to scout this base on the left as well. I mean, what can you even say about this saying? There's just no excuses to lose this game.
The big suck strikes again. It is what it is, guys. He is just an absolute pro at throwing these games, and had a fantastic spot, had every opportunity to win here, but Snow managing to get the better of him once again. Sock is going to be eliminated. 87 supply. He's still fighting it here. He knows what... I mean, he should have won this game. He knows it. Everybody knows it. And he's just not even willing to consider tapping out here just yet. He's still trying to fight. Still trying to stay alive and find some way to win this game.
He's got to break this curse. I mean, there's something cursing this man. Like, this is just ridiculous. He probably knows deep and down inside there's no way he should have lost this game. And he's probably trying to wrestle with the thoughts of not again. Like, please Please tell me this isn't happening to me yet again in an actual important match here. I mean, there's just no words. It's bonkers that this is occurring. Like, Snow played terribly compared to his usual forte. Obviously, Snow's playing a very strong macro game. I just mean compared to what we usually see from Snow in PvT, this was like a 40% performance compared to his usual 90 to 100. So the fact that Sark, after finding himself in such a great position, still couldn't get the job done. There's no words saying. I'm blown away at that. How does he continue time and time again to throw these great positions? Who's paying this man?
I don't know, Shun. It seems like maybe Sok had a wish. He wished on a monkey paw. He had a monkey paw. Get me into the ASL. I want to be one of the best Terran players out there. And the monkey paw, of course, the curse.
Yeah.
He loses every important match despite being an ASL level champion player. That's crazy, but
man, I don't
cursed to throw.
No words.
Cursed to throw every single game. It's crazy. I mean, he managed to take out Jaedong. We have to give it to him there, and he had a great position, but a great position is nothing if you can't close, and he was not able to close again. Or maybe the fourth or fifth time in a row. Pretty insane.
I hate to throw too much shade, but I mean, even in the Jaedong game, he should have won in like 5 minutes sooner. You know what I mean? Like, that timing attack was so good that with just a little bit of better execution, Jaedong doesn't live through that. So even finding shakiness in his victory against Jaedong despite a great strategy and an amazing timing, I'm just questioning this guy's work ethic or something. Like, something is going wrong in the boot camp of Sark to suck that badly. Like, something needs to be adjusted. He needs to talk to a therapist, needs a life coach or something. I don't know, but changes need to be made, I would say.
He should have been more specific with his monkey paw wish. Anyway, guys, we've got Sulky over here in the top right-hand corner versus Snow down bottom left. This is a banger matchup, and we're getting that cross-map situation, so should be fire here for sure. Sulky opening with something of an overpool, sending his first Overlord over to the top left-hand corner, getting his hatch rate online, and Snow double scouting with his probe. Looks like he's going to send back the second probe, so no real shot of, you know, going for something like a cannon rush. Of course, it's not going to be possible with the overpool, but he doesn't know that it's an overpool here until just now. As he sees these links coming forward, he knows what has gone on in the base of Sulky and will prepare promptly back at home to defend this.
Yeah, it's a nice little mini win here for Snow, getting inside the main base with this scouting probe as well. Jaedong wants to identify an incoming Zealot. He doesn't know what the build order choice is from Snow, so he's prioritizing finding any Zealots out on the map rather than shutting down the scouting probe right away. Just one more thing about that situation, Sam, before we continue. Like, Sark must be the only guy that's not currently sweating in this weather with that shade that's coming his way.
I'd say so. This guy, I mean, maybe that is the problem. He's got like too much palm sweat or something when he starts doing well. And he's just slipping all over. Need to bust out the towel, put it on his mouse, but I digress.
Spaghetti, man.
We have Snow getting away with the Nexus first, man. This is a great situation for Snow to take on Sulky. Very hard to get a good spot versus Sulky. He's so good at maneuvering the build orders and the build choices to favor himself in any given situation, but Snow's gotten away with one cannon after Nexus first, and he's going to be going into a Stargate now. He's got the greatest opening here to his natural, just that tiny little choke with one Zealot and one probe. You can very easily block out any links, so keeping this probe alive. Everything going well for Snow so far. Let's see if he can actually get a win here over Sulky.
Yeah, I would love to see it. I mean, Snow probably shouldn't have won that last game. So if somehow he beats Sulky here, I'll see that as like a gift from the universe, just trying to make the stars align for that to occur. Definitely Snow looking for a little bit of revenge after the recent ASL shenanigans. Would be great to see him be able to dispatch Sulky here. And look at this from Sulky, already kind of mind gaming things out a little bit. Went for a very fast lair, but already the Hydra Den coming down from him. So we could be seeing some kind of pre-storm 4-hatch or something hatch Hydra play from Sulky to try and get one over Snow, who'll be optimizing for early Mutalisk threats and won't necessarily be expecting a lot of Hydras starting to barrel down on this wall at around about the 8-minute, 8:30 mark.
Well, this Corsair is going to come over and potentially spot everything. He's going to leave that Overlord for now for the second Corsair to clear up. Hydra's already popping out. There's a bit of a defensive force here for Sulky to keep this Corsair at bay, but you're right, he could end up switching into full-on Hydralist production here soon and looking to hit that pre-storm timing. However, Snow went for a very quick Citadel this game, and so he may have Storm a little bit ahead of schedule to potentially shut this down. I wonder if Sulky's going to be able to optimize for that, get himself into just a massive macro game instead of going for this timing, considering how quick this is.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with Sulky is he can do anything. Like, he can just macro up like crazy from here, or he can just go hyper aggressive. He doesn't have to do anything in particular. That's one of the things that makes him such a strong champion of a player, is that he has such a wide range of play with like dozens of variations to throw into the mix to really keep you guessing and being on top of your scouting information to figure things out. But yeah, this aggression from Snow with the very fast speed time, and look at the Zealots already having leg enhancements. There's no +1 just yet, but already with the leg enhancements, putting on the pressure. Sometimes the best form of defense is offense, and he doesn't want to allow Sulky to take the driver's seat here. He wants to put the pressure on the Sulky. He's going to be now reliant on his SimCity to try and defend against that. Some drones already going down, 1 drone kill so far. Going to now try and evacuate these Zealots and maybe trade a little bit of the Zerglings on the way out, but mainly wants to keep this active threat alive and now intercept the Hydras that were moving into position to help defend at the third location. So pretty good maneuvering from Snow, trying to pull Sulky apart, though Sulky also holding things down and not allowing those Zealots to get into his main base on the run by.
He's doing a great job here of putting out these fires and stopping Snow from pulling him left and right. He's gonna push everything back now, and Hydra speed is done, so you can start to chase down these Zealots, run them down. Overlord speed is finished as well. Is there going to be Templar in time? That is the big question here, as Hydras make their way over to the natural. The Dark Templar, for sure, is ready here. It's in defensive position, but with that Overlord coming forward so quickly and the Hydras following that up closely behind, can he have this High Templar? Will he have this Storm in time? Here comes the attack. There it is. High Templar Storm is ready. I figured he would have it just in the nick of time, and there it is. 8-minute Storm is crazy fast.
This is great optimizations from Snow to try and thwart the efforts of Sulky. It's still not over just yet. There's only 1 more Storm available to Snow to make sure critical damage can not be ascertained here. We'll try and target down this Forge. At the very least, get some compensation for this early investment. No upgrades yet, I think. Yeah, okay, you just get the +1. So that's actually a big deal from Snow. He did delay that +1 timing for so long, but he did still manage to finish it up regardless of now the Forge being sniped. So when all said and done, this is a nice little position for Snow. He has to really respect the Hydras here. You see more and more cannons being thrown down, knowing that it is still possible for Sulky to go all in here and just...
Oh, looks like Shun lagged out a little bit.
Okay.
You were there? You're okay?
I'm here.
All right. We had just a little bit of a lag spike there. Sorry about that, guys. Sulky maneuvering around here, trying to chase down these Corsairs, but I think they've already scouted the Spire in the natural, and in fact, they're gonna get full confirmation of that. He, as long as he clicked on that building, is gonna know Spire on the way. Solky may be looking towards a full-on layer play, getting a 4th base up, and just going into a big round of mutas along with these Hydras to try and shut down Snow on 3 bases as he starts to get that out.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of a hard game to call, you know, because like both players have kind of maneuvered this rather masterfully. It's almost like we're watching one of the ASL games with how well the back and forth has been and how these players have navigated what has been thrown at them. I'm so impressed by the optimizations from Snow to stop Solky in his tracks, but I mean, he's still not out of the woods yet. Solky's got a massive bag of tricks to pull and utilize, and we'll be looking to take a 4th base sometime soon. I doubt he's going to pull the trigger on a 3-base all-in attempt. He just wants to slow down the 3rd base of Snow while looking to take his own 4th and hoping to outtrade this Templar move out and stop it in its tracks. But it looks like Snow is being very tentative for the time being. He's just sitting in his rally point and just waiting to build up enough of a force to actually go out onto the map with some Dragoons. You don't want to go Zealot Templar against someone like Solky. He will storm dodge you and snipe your High Templars into oblivion. It's better to wait for this Dragoon force to start bodyguarding and escorting the High Templars around the map. And so far, he's doing a good job of also dodging away from these Scourge and keeping those Corsairs active. Lots of lurkers, though, being made from Solky at his rally point, so this game might be a monster of a macro game going forward.
I'm really glad to see this big lurker wave get made. I love to see a good Solky game where he gets himself into, you know, 4 or 5 bases with all of his upgrades and hive play rolling. That is a possibility here, although it's not a certainty here just yet. Solky has made a lot of lurkers. He has a good defensive spot. He is getting that 4th base, but I haven't seen that critical Queen's Nest yet. He may still be thinking about just continuing to build Hydra Lurker and trying to shut down Snow before he can ever get a 4th.
Yeah, I think that's the main game plan here from Solky. You know, you allow the 3rd base, you transition into Hive, and you just set up a massive Lurker line, get up to 4 bases, get your tech online, and just force a fight at the 4th base. Is a very fundamental way of approaching this matchup in the mid to late game transitions, and I certainly would favor it for Solky here against Snow. Good army movements from Snow, though. He's trying to catch Solky out of position, but Solky, inversely, always so good at maneuvering around himself. I really love this high-level ZVP that we're seeing here, and slightly unorthodox from Snow going into +2 weapons instead of +2 armor early on, kind of back to the roots of this matchup and keeping as much strength in his army as possible going forward, making sure he can kill the units with as few shots as possible, and make sure he can keep trading with these Zerglings all game long, and never letting Solky get an upgrade advantage over him for the time being.
It's really inspiring to see how Solky fights these armies, like the way that he engaged with the Protoss, always targeting with the Hydras there, keeping these little groups out, just kind of harassing at the periphery, looking for those little kills that he can get, and then baiting the Zealots back into the Lurker spines every single time. Is working out in his favor. He's going for a High Templar snipe. So close, 1 HP on that. And another Storm is now available for Snow. So things going a little bit Snow's way. However, he's slowly pushing down into this pocket. Oh, great snipes there as well. Trading about 6 or 7 Hydras for a couple of High Templar. You cannot go too deep in against a composition like this. As soon as you get a little bit too far as the Protoss player, too close to that 4th base, the wraparound's going to come through, and the big surround, he has to keep it fluid, and he is going to keep moving this army through the middle. Big storms here. Big snipes on some of these High Templar as well. Lot of lurkers over on this left-hand side, but most of them are not firing. Flank as well comes through. These flanking lurkers on the right-hand side are pretty crazy, but looks like Snow will be able to close on those. Only one more storm is available. He does throw down that storm on a lot of Hydras coming down from the north, and he will open up a spot for him to back away to almost a full surround there from Sulky, but Snow manages to find a hole to escape.
This Mongolian Protoss is dead.
Oh, bit of a leg spike there again. Go ahead, Snow. Excuse me, not Snow. Go ahead, Shun.
Protoss not faring well against the Great Wall. The Mongolian Protoss faring well against the Great Wall of Sulky. Now encroaching on this 6 o'clock position, though. Hasn't really got much more forces remaining to deal with the oncoming onslaught. If he kills this 4th base right now, he's going to be in a little bit of trouble. Despite trading well initially, Sulky's kind of all in right now. He's only got like 3 or 4 drones mining at his 4th base. He wants to pull the trigger on forcing the fight at the 4th. We talked about this earlier. It's very fundamental Zerg stuff, allowing the Protoss to get the 3rd and then just macroing up a massive army. As soon as the Protoss starts to gear up in the center and take their 4th base behind it, that's when you want to start forcing fights and just going crazy on your unit production. And Sulky's one of the best unit producers in the business. And look at this, now encroaching on the rally point location as well. Not quite storm dodging enough, but it doesn't really matter. There's just overwhelming numbers of Zerg pouring across the map and really starting to put the pressure on Snow, who seems...
Yeah, it seems like he's getting completely overwhelmed here. Sorry to run over you, Shun, but you're lagging out a little bit there. Dropping into this natural, breaking through. Dragoons coming out to just try to hammer down a few more of these lurkers, but the Hydra number still making its way forward. 1,500 minerals in the bank for Snow right now. Maybe lacking a little bit during some of those fights on his production. Sulky not having the same problem at all. He is hammering out his units and getting up here to the front as soon as Zergly possible. There's the High Templar, 16 kills on the left-hand side. That's the only High Templar over there, though, and there's just 2 cannons to defend. DT in the midst of this is going to get a lot of damage going, but it's probably not going to be enough. As the Overlord comes down, he will be able to deal with that, and the probes are all going to fall. Snow just does not have enough to stop here. There's that extra High Templar storm coming down, but every single probe is going to fall. A very close, very tight game here, but Sulky pushing through and getting on top of this 3rd base.
This is seriously well executed from Sulky. He's been like pretty much semi-all in the entire time with how little saturation there is at his 4th base, but he's been non-stop unit production with how successful it's going. If only Snow could trade just a little bit better, this game might look a lot different. He has 3-2 upgrades, but can't hold the line. GG is called, and that was a really great second to final game of the evening. Sorry, third to final game of the evening. Really well played. One of the best games we've had so far in this week of KCM. Really strong showing from both players, despite Sulky getting the better end of the stick against Snow. I really loved Snow's timings and execution going into that mid game. It's just he got overwhelmed.
Really reminiscent of that Jaedong versus Stork game where the massive Zerg army completely surrounds and engulfs that Protoss force. Snow, to his credit, though, did a great job of kind of shimmying back and fighting the army appropriately, controlling way better than Stork in that dangerous situation. However, was not able to close that one out. Royal here, the final player to stand against Sulky, and he's going for a 6 racks in the middle of the map, Shun.
This is the CPL special, man. This is the absolute craziness. You can't get more all in than that, and they're just going crazy over whether or not Sulky was going to make a 9 pull, or whether or not he was going to make an Overlord, and they're freaking out a little bit in the caster booth because he made an Overlord. And he's not going for that 9 pull potentially that he sometimes could go for an overpull here. He sometimes does like to overpull to hedge his bets against 8 racks and BBS and what have you. Seems like he's not doing that here today. This could be a hatchery first play against a 6 racks, and Royal might be able to lay the smackdown on Sulky if he executes well.
it's still tough. It's still very tough. For Royal. I mean, the 6 racks gives you so little economy, man. You can only make Marines, and you might as well just pull all your SCVs, or nearly all your SCVs here, because it's so incredibly all in. You have to kill the hatchery. He's gonna make a few Marines and probably come up here soon, but if Sulky pulls every drone and gets a couple of good surrounds, the game is just over. Royal has to micro this perfectly, and he's got to bring these SCVs up to body block. Look at this drone heading towards the middle. Are you kidding me? Sulky's gonna find this, and when he finds this, he knows exactly what to do. Just gonna go ahead and pull practically every drone to try and fight it before any sort of bunker can be made.
Yeah, he's gonna cancel the gas to get in one extra drone to fight with. Sulky kind of underreacting to this initially, unless he's got this mapped out where he knows how many drones to pull and how many drones to add on. I'm kind of surprised that he's only pulling 3 extra drones initially. He will then go on to pulling more and more drones, like he should, going up to 10 total, only 2 mining drones. We'll be able to stop the building of this bunker just barely. I'm going to try and wrap around from behind with these drones as well, try and get a pincer move on those Marines. But it looks like the bunker might potentially go up unless he pulls the trigger on surrounding them right here, right now. We're finally going to start leapfrogging the bunker forward. The first bunker is just a safety bunker to fall back to. The second bunker here is the main threat against the hatchery. They'll put a clock on that. So he has to respond. He's going to try and go for a wraparound on the bunker with the drones helping out against the leads. Only one is to be repairing right now. He should be able to kill that. It's so close, but it does go down, and suddenly Royal in a lot of trouble as all of those Marines are just dealt with in a very clean, convincing fashion by Sulky.
Yeah, Sulky makes this look like you should never do this build. It's scary, but spotting that out and bringing the drones down, it makes it very hard. Royal trying to leapfrog a second bunker a little bit closer, and Sulky just has the antidote to it. I guess keeping the drones in the main just that tiny bit longer allowed him to eke out just enough minerals to get, 8 lings initially, or right off the bat. Get that good number of lings to be able to break the bunker immediately, and now it's nearly over. There's still some possibilities here for Royal, but he is in a desperate spot. He has to float that barracks all the way back. There's not anything like a factory behind this so he can make a vulture or anything. He's just got 4 Marines, and that's it. No wall, nothing back here at home, and Sulky can do whatever he wants.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Terran equivalent of 5 pool. You can technically transition out of it, but you're tight on pretty much just about everything going forward. He'll try and make a game of this, but I mean, as you can see, it's already Sulky favored. It's going to be really tough. The one thing that Royal has going for him is because of the tech timings will be much slower on the other side of the field because of how many drones that were pulled. He knew that there was a maximum drone pull of 10 being utilized, so he's hoping that there'll be enough slowdown in the timings of Sulky that he can still make a playable game out of this. And he's not technically wrong. Like, relatively speaking, he does have a playable game state. It's just going to be a little bit Sulky favored going forward.
It's going to be tough, man. I mean, this is so many drones back at home, and Royal, I mean, he's going to have to build a lot of turrets to defend this. He has gone for a +1 build to follow this up, but he has no timing to go across the map to punish Sulky at all, to force Sunkens at all. And he doesn't have a very good timing on his additional barracks either. Everything is just slow, super slow. He got how many drones did he actually kill during that attack? Do you even know? Was there any drones going down? I don't think he got any, did he? Shun, you there?
Yeah, I'm here, buddy. Can you hear me?
Yeah, okay. Looks like we're having some technical difficulties.
I said he didn't even kill any, I don't think.
Yeah, so no drones killed. That's rough, even if it's an 8 Rex, but a 6 Rex, things are really looking tough here for Roll. Look at this. Another hatchery's going to go down for Sulky, potentially. Or is he just going to throw down like a den? Evo?
Is that Evo or Queens probably?
I mean, he's got the money to throw in an extra hatch. Looks like he's going to throw it down in the top left.
He's going to mind game like crazy. He's throwing down the den. He's going to make a spire and a den. The den is hidden. So he's going to make it look like this is just a normal Mutalisk follow-up, but actually we'll be going lurkers here. And I mean, this could be problematic, especially if Royal is spending a lot of his scanner energy trying to find the third base. He won't have any scans really available to help deal with those lurkers, and he's making one scanner at a time to optimize SCV production, because it costs 2 SCVs in terms of production time to make those scanners. So sometimes you'll see Terrans make one at a time to keep their production of SCVs as strong as possible, which we see Royal doing here to try and keep the count of workers as high as possible considering his early game deficit.
Building a bunch of turrets right now, and it's not exactly what he needs. He get the scan, he sees the creep, of course, but doesn't see the tack up there on the high ground. Sulky probably already has lurker upgrade researching, and we're gonna have the Marines come out here and kind of take a look around. He's still scanning and trying to figure out what's going on here. Some mutas are being made and heading forth, but Sulky's going to come right up into the middle of the map, start to build some lurkers, and look for opportunities to dive on top of this. Maybe even get some lurker landmine plays, which Royal will definitely not be expecting.
Yeah, and he's trying to really obfuscate things with these initial first 7 mutas, but the Marine actually intercepts the Hydras and transits, and now Royal has a great idea of what he's up against. He sees the mutas and the Hydras, so he should be able to put the puzzle pieces together, despite not necessarily being able to shut down this base up here in the top left. He at least now kind of has a better idea of what he's up against. He could go into like a 5 racks plus 1 and try and bowl over the Zerg right here, right now. He knows there's not that many lurkers up on the high ground, so maybe he could make this work. If he's got all the units churning away from the rally point over here, there's not that many mutas to fend off against this. He knows that, but Sulky made a backup lurker to help try and hold the line. Can he go to the high ground? I don't think he can. Sulky just barely going to be locking out Royal from getting any critical damage done, and now Royal definitely is going to start falling behind in this game.
Yeah, this is a clean transition now. Royal, not sure how far along he is with his starports. Might have those started. There it is. Starports are starting in the main base, but I think we've already got the hive done, don't we? So Sulky is going to be able to push down this ramp really soon and get this 4th base online. There's really nothing stopping him. Just these Marines out on the map. As soon as the Dark Swarm is available, he can push down there. There's some small hope. Maybe if Royal goes for like a double dropship first, or right after the first couple of science vessels, maybe he can make something work with that. But look at all the lurkers being made back at home. Sulky's going to have a massive army to be able to deal with that.
I think one of the things that makes Sulky such a strong gamer is that he thinks of the game in the same way a Terran does, in the sense of he's so aware of all the critical timings that could defeat him that he always manages to close that gap by a few extra seconds than these other Zergs can. And that sneaky den at the macro hatchery just barely allowed him to get lurkers up in position to defend that 3rd at a critical timing where Royal really could have shut him down in any other position. And I think that's one of the things that makes Sulky so exceptional, is he's always able to find these little niche timings that Terrans usually do exploit.
And with no timing left over here, Royal is just kind of flopping against these defenses, not able to do much of anything. He's going to throw down a base over at the center right, and there it is. Double dropship right off the bat. I was expecting this because it's clear that Royal is far behind and he needs to get something. Might as well roll the dice, try to get these Lotto ships in and deal some damage. It looks like he's heading up towards this 3rd base. Can he cause enough of a stink here at the bottom of this ramp to be able to get these drops in and deal this damage in the main, or in the top left? Oh gosh, he's gonna try and drop behind. Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, he doesn't go for that. He thinks better of it. Maybe it would have been wise to avoid doing something like that. It's such a big gamble that might not pay off. He's waiting for more and more drop ships. Maybe the plan is to elevate her into this top left main base instead. I mean, I'm not so sure. Sulky's kind of ready for a drop in the bottom left. He's got Scourge in position, units kind of chilling out at the Nidus Canal to just come through it in a moment's notice. Sulky's already identified that the drop ships will probably be arriving in his main base. Does he expect 4? He might have enough to defend against 2. Can he defend against 4, though? We're going to see him in just a second here as Royals are unloading the train. Here comes the Nidus Canal, though, with so many units flooding through. Dark Swarms do come down on these critically positioned lurkers to try and shut down this drop. Royal going to scoop up and go for an unload in the main base mineral line instead as a bit of an afterthought here. Also attacking the top left potentially with some additional drops. Just Sulky is ready though. He's expecting this 1-2 punch combination. He's got some Scourge and some Zerglings waiting in the top left for those additional dropships to come in just a moment here. Hasn't killed many of those drones thanks to that Dark Swarm. Mutalisk's playing cleanup on R5 in the main base, and Royal is just getting locked out from any of his damage potential.
6 dropships. Barely gets anything done. Sulky is a god.
It's crazy.
Blocking out everything and just giving himself such an excellent position. Coming down onto this low ground, going to be able to clear out all of this, plus kill the dropship as well. Gonna come down and take his 4th base. I wouldn't be surprised to see a Royal tap out right now. He may decide to stay in, but this is such a desperate position. The amount of science vessel production he's missed out on. Even if he only made science vessels here and just was sitting here radiating, he would have been in a very tough spot. But now that he's spent all of these drops, lost all the units, and didn't make those science vessels, it's a crazy rough spot.
Yeah, I can almost guarantee that even though he's not tapping out, he probably sighed rather heavily after failing to get any damage done with that. He's pretty much semi all in with those drop ships, and with them failing to find any damage, going to be so exceptionally hard for him to keep up with Sulky. Securing that 4th gas, I mean, the only real way Royal can keep in this game is by applying pressure while getting his own 4th base up online sometime soon. That's going to be a bit of a tough mountain to climb. He's going to see if he can sneak another dropship into the main base on this southern hemisphere, trying to circumnavigate the Overlord scouting. If Sulky's distracted elsewhere and doesn't respond to this, he maybe would take damage, but he's got so many units in position. Even a lurker still borrowed in the middle line. Sulky is just prepared for everything. He's like he's got the game mapped out. He sees the matrix code and nothing is catching him by surprise at all in this game. It's kind of inspiring and exceptional how well he's able to play. He is unironically the Zerg Flash of this modern era.
Tons of army making its way out here, and 1,700 gas is waiting in the wings for Sulky. The transition into Ultra, it's looming in the future, and Royal just does not have an answer for it. Ultras are going to be in production here soon, and he's still sitting here trying to get that 3rd base, a 4th base, double expansion in bottom right. Cannot really hold anything back, trying to get some value out of these science vessels right now. Royal is grasping at straws. He's hoping that they're just hatchery. I was gonna say, he's hoping that Sulky wasn't gonna be having a counterattack down there, but there may just be a Nidus.
Yeah, he's taking a page out of Action's book and doing a little bit of a sneaky hatchery in the corner. He can throw down a Nidus to connect those up soon if he wants to, although he's not got a Nidus ready to go right away, so it might be a little bit too slow. If he hasn't already got a Nidus built up to throw down, please, no way is he going to sunken push. Like, that's just ridiculous. Like, I hope he's got a Nidus canal that's finished up and we'll be connecting those 2 locations shortly. There are a lot of forces now making their way over to that position. It's a shame if Sulky doesn't pull the trigger on achieving a Nidus Canal setup over here, because it would be so strong. Oh, he's building it the other way around. He should have built the Nidus Canal already at his main base. Action's the best at the business in doing plays like this, and even the champion himself is kind of doing it in a very sloppy way. So that kind of just shows you how good Action is at doing this kind of stuff. But Soki might still be able to make something of it. I mean, the Nidus Canal is on the way. If somehow Royal doesn't notice that creep spread in time, this might still actually work out. He has to actually look at the map and see the creep on the edge of his periphery. He can technically see that creep, but he has to actually be paying attention to notice it.
Yeah, that's right. And it looks like he wasn't paying attention. He hasn't noticed it. And Royal is just going to go out in a bit of an embarrassing way here. Nidus Canal into his main base. This is going to be a frustrating loss either way. Yeah, lots of bunkers down here. He's so prepared for the counterattack at this base, but he's just going to be caught completely off guard, going to lose that location. Dropping the irradiate on that Ultra is kind of hilarious. That Ultra going to do massive damage in that center right base, and these Ultras popping through. Dropping the Darkstorm here from the high ground. Royal is going to be, his eyes are going to be popping out of his head right here as those Ultras come down from the high ground.
Before he got the heavy Psy, probably out of Royal, now he's probably going to get the head tilt as well as another Psy. Like, this is like a, oh, come on kind of moment here for Terran players. You hate to go out in this fashion. I mean, it is what it is. He's going to try and hold the line with some irradiators. He's got his army moving down into this quadrant. No way is he going to make it. To make it harder for him to land down and take that base later on. Sulky is an absolute monster. There are some battle cruisers making their way on the vertical axis of the northern hemisphere, though. One spore has been made to try and sandbag that. Needs 6 Scourge per battle cruiser, assuming only 1 Scourge gets sniped at a time to actually kill those. It's 5 Scourge to kill the battle cruiser, but at least 1 Scourge will go down. Unless you've got the air carapace upgrade, they do die to 1 shot to those lasers of the battle cruisers. Yamato is actually finished. He's going to take out the Nidus Canal. Does kill one of the battle cruisers, but I mean, he's taken away one of the abilities of Sulky from traversing around his side of the map. Not yet shut off the connection to this bottom right, though. That Nidus is down in the natural rally point of Sulky. As you can see, those Scourge die so quickly to the attacks of the battle cruisers, but it doesn't matter. Sulky shut out so much mining from this bottom right.
Yeah, this is a awkward, very awkward situation what we're looking at right now, but Sulky, he is going to reestablish that 4th base, and this base up here maybe can even hold on to that with the Nidus Canal here and all these lurkers popping through. There's a good chance he just keeps this alive. Does need to pop through some Hydras or something like that just to go ahead and snipe down all of these vessels. They're all super low because of that plague. Coming in with a little counterattack as Sulky clears out the center right, though. Royal just doesn't have an answer. He's going to try to break through here, but a couple of Ultralists make their way forward. Some Lings pop out over at this Nidus underneath the Darkstorm. He is going to lose everything. It's a good attempt here from Royal, but Sulky is kind of playing with his food right now.
Yeah, no, it's kind of crazy. I mean, even though he can kill this hatchery, it takes a long time for that creep to recede to actually land and start taking that base again. So Sulky just being an absolute nuisance to him right now. Definitely having fun with Royal and styling on him a little bit in this game. There comes their GG. All those vessels are going to die so quickly due to them being plagued. What a well-executed game here for Sulky to close out this week of KCM in some major style and finesse. Gets the clapper and a little bit of a head bow there from KCM. You can't really say more about it. Sulky is just so good at what he does.
All right, guys, taking a look at our point ranking. Sulky bringing Zerg to yet another win, rocketing ahead of the other squads with only 1 week remaining. It's clear Zerg will be making its way to that final spot. TVP semifinals is going to be coming up soon. Still have 1 more week, 1 more opportunity for an all kill and to gather some prize money, but that final spot has already been decided.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, week 8 won't be the best week of KCM, but there will be a little bit of players looking to redeem themselves. I'm sure Sark is hoping that he can get back on stage and, try not to suck so much. I mean, that's going to be a big challenge. Maybe he can still make it happen. At this point, I don't even know what's going on with that guy. I hope he can figure it out, whatever it is. Either way, it's content, so I'm not going to complain. Yeah, we're going to be having a Terran versus Protoss semifinals, despite there being one more week of KCM, and we did kind of expect that with the point trajectories after week 6 as well. So I mean, it's not too crazy here, but there was a tiny chance, for Terran to eliminate Zerg and Protoss do okay. So Zerg didn't get any points this round, and somehow Terran would be able to, eventually eclipse them in the point rankings. But as it stands, the trajectory of the Zerg squad just going to be going out into outer Earth orbit and leaving Terran and Protoss left to fight for their homeworld.
Gotta say, it was fun to see Jaedong playing strong today in KCM. Also awesome to see Snow versus Soulkey, that rematch, that classic match between those two. They've been going back and forth over and over again in the ASL, and this previous ASL was the closest we've ever seen them. So it's a perfect time for a match between those two. Soulkey absolutely showing his dominant performance, though. Those surrounds and that overall just macro prowess really shining through. Guys, thank you so much for watching yet again another week of the KCM. We're getting very close to the final, so we'll hope you guys will join us there. Make sure to subscribe and support what we do. We appreciate you, and we'll see you next week.